led by Supervisor Kavanaugh. Those that wish to join in, please stand.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this opportunity that we have to be here today, to be able to gather, Lord, in a free area in a free country. And I'm just asking that through this meeting that you would just send a spirit of peace on this meeting, Lord, as things are brought up, situations are brought up. Father, that you will give this great supervisor, Lord, give them your wisdom, give them your leading as they talk through issues, Lord, that affect everyone that lives in Pinal County. I just thank you for this time, and again, just your peace to reign during this meeting. Ask all this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And we are in session. Let's see. Welcome to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting, April 13th, 2022. It is 9:32. And we will start with call to the public. And I have a few notices here. Mr. McCain, you are up on top of my list. You're on my list, man. Watch it.
Okay. Good morning, Supervisor McLaren and Board of Supervisors. It's my honor to be here. I've talked about it before. My name is Bear McCain from Arizona, but a great debater I've always looked up to is Malcolm X. He said that history is not hatred. After all I've done from Vietnam up till 1990, I served my country, and I come here every so often since 2012 to serve my country. Unfortunately, we have people that don't seem to understand that. But history is not to be taken lightly. It's to be an example to all of us. That's why history repeats itself. Now, I've lived a few days, and I've seen things happen. I see it again. United we stand, but not when we have someone pointing the finger and calling somebody unethical or immoral. But history does repeat itself. And Supervisor Kavanaugh, I would love to be nice to you, but you keep being in controversy against my friends, even though I'm a Democrat, but it's my country. If we can live together, we can die together. I learned that in Vietnam. And when you start pointing the finger at my friends and it's not substantiated, I have a problem with that. I still have a problem when the Olympic boxing team in 1980 went, and I didn't go, but I lost my coach and my friends. I protect my country, I protect my friends.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. Supervisor Kavanaugh, you were called out. Do you wish to respond?
Not precisely sure what the gentleman was speaking of, but the county supervisors have an obligation to protect the financial interests of the county. If an employee or citizen comes to a county supervisor and says there's an issue, we simply are to pass it along to either county management, as this board has discussed in the past, or the county attorney. It's not for us to investigate. It's not for us to look into the facts or the details, except that if there's smoke, then we should move it. That's our obligation. If time passes and something occurs and we knew about it, the question would be, well, what did you know and when did you know it? There's an issue in the past where, it came up, the county didn't collect $200,000 in rent over a period of time. When our office discovered it, we brought that to the attention of folks. And so it's the obligation of the county supervisor to protect the financial interests of the county. And if a citizen or an employee brings something to my attention, I will do the right thing and pass it along. So that's my response.
Okay, thank you. Next, Luke Myers. Mr. Myers. As always, please state your name and generally where you live.
Chairman McClure, Vice Chairman Goodman, honored supervisors, my name is Luke Myers from Coolidge. I'd like to comment generally on most of the agenda items on what is successful civil government and a prerequisite for success. It goes without saying, except we need the reminder that success depends on ascertaining the right goals. Now, that's controversial, but it's revealed by Scripture. Hear the prescriptive word of God. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. There encoded in Romans 13:3 is the twofold goal of civil government. Punish evil, praise the good. This narrows the focus. Good civil government is not a church, a charity, a parent, a preschool, a homeowners association, a teacher, a buying club. It comes naturally to excel at the wrong thing. The instinct appears early and persists indefinitely. The father tells his child to clean up the play area. Dad, let me pick you some flowers. Dad, can we play pitch and catch? It persists indefinitely. King Saul chose to make a sacrifice rather than to obey, to which the prophet said, 1 Samuel 15, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Chairman, there was no stronger rebuke than to the face of that man who had enforced the death penalty on witchcraft. History would record the story of King Saul's work. His legacy turned to ash. I cannot comment as a moral authority. It's all too easy for me to excel at the wrong thing. But I do not want our work to burn. God has revealed the purpose of civil government as twofold: to punish the evil, to praise the good. As long as evil exists and good is displayed, that can be a full-time job. Chairman McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Next up, Audra Michaels. You knew I was going to say that. You were jumping up.
I figured I was pretty close. Thank you. Chairman McClure, Vice Chairman Surdy, members of the board. My name is Audra Michael, and I am the Director of Pinal County Animal Care and Control. And I just wanted to bring to your attention and the attention of all of the citizens of Pinal County that we are currently in National Animal Care and Control Officer Appreciation Week. It's always the second week of April, if you want to put it on your calendars. And it's just a week to appreciate what animal control officers do for their communities. Now, my officers are currently in hearings, so they couldn't be here, but they did write a statement that they would like you guys to hear, and as well as the citizens of Pinal County that might be watching right now. I'm going to try not to stumble too much. I'm a little nervous. I don't know why. Okay. Let's face it, many people have less than a positive image of animal control officers. Why is that? Could it be because children from such a young age see animal control officers displayed as bumbling buffoons in popular movies such as The Secret Life of Pets? These images certainly do not help the reputation of an ACO, but it definitely is not who we are. Animal control officers are not like everyone else. It takes a special type of human to do what we do. Animal control officers are not considered first responders, yet we are the first to run at an aggressive animal armed with nothing but a leash while everyone else runs away. We try to provide justice that cannot speak See, I knew it. We try to provide justice for those that cannot speak using toothless laws that really do nothing to protect animals from harm. Animal control officers are people that listen without judgment to those that may have an animal that is clearly suffering or neglected, but still try to help the situation rather than remove the pet from their home. We are professional negotiators, mitigators, and educators, yet we are still called murderers and dog catchers, something we do not appreciate. We see things that can almost make us lose our faith in humanity. So why do we do it? Well, hope. Hope that one day we will be seen as a friend, not a foe. Hope that our communities will always be safe under our watch, and hope that we are loud enough, being that voice for those that are voiceless. Believe it or not, we truly do love helping animals and the community we serve. One good outcome can make all the difference in our world, which sometimes does not come often enough. Animal control officers around the country are making a difference out there day by day, dog by dog, cat by cat, and family by family. We are public servants. We love what we do, and this is the week to show your appreciation and a chance to say thank you to your local animal control officer. So, thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Ms. Michaels. Next up, Garland Shreves. Mr. Shreves.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Surdy, Supervisor Goodman, Supervisor Miller, I want you to know that I believe that you are honorable men. I believe that you have been serving the county in a professional manner, and it saddens me to be here today as a private citizen. As you are aware, I work at the county attorney's office, but I'm here on my own time. I'm here to serve notice upon the county of claim for $5 million. I have been wronged professionally, and it has harmed me professionally. It has harmed my family. It has caused great distress to my wife. When the facts of the case come out, the public will actually know the truth. But I want you to know that many of you I've known for a number of years, and I believe you to be honorable public servants. I want you to know there's no recourse for me as an employee of the county other than the recourse I took in order to get redress when a public elected county supervisor makes wild allegations without any accountability. I have no recourse as an employee, nor does Mrs. Stanford, who also makes a notice of claim today for $8 million against the county, for a total of $13 million, not counting the amount of money that was spent prior today investigating outside legal counsel fees and the literally tens of thousands, and before it's over with, millions of dollars that the county taxpayer is going to have to pay. I want you to know I have a great regret that I have to do this, but there is no mechanism in place for me as an employee to do this. I also think it's incumbent on all of you as electeds in particular, and even those in my position who supervise people, to treat our subordinates with dignity and respect. We have an obligation to do that for every county employee. And when you have professionals as department heads that are being abused and threatened with their job professionally or accused of misconduct, corruption, etc., that's false and baseless, their lives are being turned upside down. And I hope that all of you will come out and be opposed to it, because you have a duty and an obligation to do the right thing and defend us against that type of behavior. With that said, I conclude my statement. I wish you guys the best.
Thank you, Mr. Shreves. Are there any others that wish to address the board? Nope. Ms. Tent? Nope. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dave Coward. I'm from Gold Canyon. Chairman McClure, Vice Chair Surdy, and the board. I'm here on behalf of Gold Canyon Community, Inc., and I just wanted to give you an update. We just filed our quarterly report for the grant that you gave us recently for this cycle, and I just wanted to give you a little update of what we've accomplished this past quarter. And the focus of this quarter has been on the on our community development of our community plan in partnership with the county and ASU. And the actual study at ASU, the class actually started in January, and it's scheduled to be completed at the end of this month in April, where we'll have several scenarios and ideas to be working forward on a community plan. So that's well on its way. We have also developed our strategic plan process for taking this data and information on out and hopefully to implement some of the ideas. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that we hope we're using your funds wisely, and we'll report back later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Coward. Any others that wish to address the board?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Roberto Reveles, resident of Gold Canyon. I usually like to pick up on the tenor and tone of the invocation to approach proceedings in the county peaceful, but not exclude provocative commentary. Mr. Chairman, during the Board of Supervisors meeting March 16, the public witnessed a display of untruthful commentary by a speaker during call to the public. He spoke the big lie remarks that have been proven false by Arizona's legal system, our legislature, and the Maricopa Board of Supervisors. However, to me, even more concerning was the arrogance of Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, who I believe abused the call to the public as he spoke not as a member of the public, but as a county official in his rush to defend not the truth, but the big lie, and to criticize a member of the public. If Sheriff Lamb wishes to debate the big lie and the January 6th riot at our Capitol, he should place the item on the agenda instead of using the call to the public to attack truthful speakers with whom he disagrees. Let us be clear, Mr. Chairman. It is about spreading the big lie that our voting system stole the election from the impeached former president. The big lie that led to the death-dealing January 6 attempt at overthrowing a constitutionally mandated peaceful transfer of presidential power. Mr. Chairman, the county sheriff's support for the big lie and intimidation of a member of the public must not go unchallenged. This is the second time in recent meetings that some of us have been vocally criticized by the sheriff. Regretfully, his intemperate actions bring into question the very integrity of Pinal County's commitment to fair administration of law enforcement and justice. Furthermore, the sheriff's words revive unresolved ethical questions regarding other allegations about the sheriff himself. The sale of political merchandise, the appearance of receiving campaign donation for not enforcing seizure of tax delinquent property, lack of transparency about possibly commingled funds flowing through public, private, and partisan entities, and an unexplained investigation of the sheriff by Arizona's Attorney General. At that March meeting, you recognized Mark Lamb not as a member of the public, but you specifically recognized him in his capacity as Sheriff Lamb. Mr. Chairman, call to the public must remain a safe space for members of the public to exercise our views without fear of being vocally rebuked by the sheriff. For these substantive reasons, Mr. Chairman, I seriously request, that you direct staff to draft a call to the public policy to prevent abuse by county officials and to clarify its proper use in reassuring the public that truthful commentary and exercise of our First Amendment is welcome in Pinal County. Mr. Chairman, may I hear a clear and unequivocal direction to the staff on this request?
I can tell you that we're working on policy on that very thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Any others that wish to comment to the board? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you very much. Let's see. Item 2, announcement. Supervisor Sturdy, I think you've got this.
Yes, of course, we've all, the new ones up here, we've been here for a little over a year, and we have lots of boards and commissions, some of which we're not even sure what they do. But the next pick was an easy pick, as I had an opening on open space and trails. And Kim Grady has, back when Lost Dutchman State Park, back when we had a big possibility that state parks were going to be closed, she formed a whole commission to save Lost Dutchman State Park and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to put back into that park to show the state how viable it was and to keep it going. And so when I had an opening to make an appointment for open space and trails, she was one of the first people that I thought of. So I think that appointment is being made, and I guess I walk down there and give her a certificate now, right? Is that right?
That's it.
Okay.
Is she here? Oh. Oh. Okay, item number 3, discussion, approval, disapproval of the National Crime Victims' Rights Proclamation to be read by County Attorney Kent Volkmer.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Kent Volkmer, Pinal County Attorney. You heard Ms. Michaels come up and talk earlier about it's National Animal Control Officers Week. There are certain times of the year where we set aside and we want to honor those that dedicate their lives to very honorable services. This is one of those. This is the National Crime Rights Week. About 30 years ago, there was a public outrage because crime victims were disrespected. Crime victims weren't even given the opportunity to be heard in court. Frankly, their wishes were just ignored. So there were a number of professionals that came together in not only this state but across the country and said, look, we need to do more. This is just a small part, but this is just that reminder. And with the board and the chairman's permission, what I would like to do is to read the proclamation, and then I would formally ask the board to adopt the week of, and I want to get it right, April 24th through April 30th of 2022 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week.
Please go ahead.
And it's lawyerly. I apologize, but this is the only way that I know how to roll. So
You're a lawyer, man.
Whereas, being a victim of crime and navigating the criminal justice system can be a frightening and confusing experience. Whereas, progress in improving the treatment of crime victims has been made through the efforts of thousands of victims and survivors who have turned their own experiences into a force for positive change, ensuring that others can receive justice, meaningful assistance, and compassionate treatment before the law. Whereas, the entire community has a role to play. And whereas, involving victims help service providers and criminal justice professionals understand the culture, values, and expectations of unserved and underserved victims who seek assistance and justice. And whereas, engaging victims' communities and learning from leaders about their unique needs helps service providers foster a supportive and culturally relevant atmosphere in which victims can seek help and healing. And whereas, incorporating communities' existing experts and trusted source of support into efforts to fully serve victims will develop a criminal justice system response that is truly accessible and appropriate for all victims of crime. Whereas, with the full weight of the community and victim service providers behind them, victims will feel understood and worthy of support and to begin to heal from the trauma of victimization without fear of judgment. And whereas National Crime National Crime Victims' Rights Week, April 24th through the 30th, April 2022, is an opportune time to commit to ensuring that all victims of crime, even those who are challenging to reach or serve, are offered accessible, appropriate, and trauma-informed services in the aftermath of crime. And whereas Pinal County is hereby dedicated to strengthening victims and survivors, building partnerships and resilience in our communities, and bringing hope and healing to all victims and survivors. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim the week of April 24th through the 30th, 2022 as Crime Victims' Rights Week and reaffirm this county's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during Crime Victims' Rights Week and throughout the year, and to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Volkmer. Does the board have any questions? No comments, no questions? Could I get a motion to approve this proclamation?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proclamation just stated by Mr. Kent Volkmer.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 4, County Manager's Report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just wanted to remind you that next week, a week from today, we're going to talk about recruitment, retention, compensation policies in a work session for the county. And then next month, we're going to have the external auditors and our financial consultants come in and talk about how the county ensures that our financial records are material complete, and as well as our grant reporting. And then we'll give you an update on the strategic plan as well in May. And then just a few events throughout the county for the public to be aware of. April 23rd, from 10 to 6, there's a chili cook-off in San Manuel with music and festivities. We have the Gila River Music Festival, April 22nd and 23rd, over in the town of Kearney. And then on April 20th, from 10 to 2 at the Coolidge CAC campus, our Arizona at Work and Central Arizona College are going to have a job fair with a variety of all kinds of job openings, retail, manufacturing, hospitality, etc. So if anyone wants to go, please do attend. Thanks.
Come on down. Okay, thank you, Mr. Liu. Number 5 here, Purchasing Division Report. Tara Peterson, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and members of the board. I am Tiara Peterson, Purchasing Manager for Pinal County, and this is your purchasing report for April 13th, 2022. First, the board is requested to approve the following contract awards. RFP 203026-3 for Public Defense Services Attorney Services. We recommend contracts be awarded to the following suppliers: Tyler Michael William Allen of Allen Law, PLLC, DBA, Queen Creek Law Firm; Christina Griffin Carter of Carter Law, PLLC; Jeffrey B. Cloud of J. Cloud Law, PLLC; Ardeen Fox of Fox Law Group, PC; Kyle Hobson of Hobson Legal Consulting, PLLC; and Shelley M. Wallace, Attorney. The term of the proposed contract will run concurrent with the original contract start date of July 1, 2021, and this contract will be used by the Public Defense Services Office. RFP 203026-4, also for Public Defense Services Attorney Services. We recommend the contract be awarded to Joy Riddle of Riddle Law Firm, PLLC. Likewise, the term of this contract will run concurrent with the original contract start date of July 1, 2021, and this contract is also used by Public Defense Services. IFB 225627 for on-site aggregate crushing services. We recommend Smith Co. Enterprises, Inc. be awarded a contract beginning April 13th, 2022. This contract will be used by the Public Works Department. Next, the board is requested to approve the following contract amendments. RFP 170423 for video visitation. We recommend approval of amendment number 5 to exercise the optional extension period from April 30th, 2022 through April 29th, 2023 with Securus Technologies, Inc. This is a final extension for this contract, and it is used by the Sheriff's Office. ROQ 173923, JOC for roadway pavement markings. We recommend approval of Amendment Number 4 to exercise the optional extension period beginning April 18th, 2022, with the following suppliers: Franklin Striping, Pavement Markings, Inc., MRM Construction Services, Inc., Sunline Contracting, LLC. After this extension, no further extensions remain, and it is used by the Public Works Department. RFP 175123 for printing, mailing, and email notification of property tax documents. We recommend approval of Amendment Number 5 to exercise the optional extension period beginning May 30th, 2022, with Masters Touch, LLC. One optional one-year extension will remain, and the contract is used by the Treasurer's Office. ROQ 207026 for Airport Engineering, Design, and Construction Project Management Services. We recommend approval of Amendment Number 1 to exercise the optional extension period beginning March 25th, 2022, with Dibble & Associates Consulting Engineers. There are 3 optional one-year extensions remaining, and the contract is used by the Public Works Department. Next, the Board is requested to approve the following change orders per Pinal County Procurement Code Section PC 1502, governing change orders that exceed minimum thresholds. For PO number 246380 with Wex Bank in the change amount of $150,000 for a new total of $330,000 for light-duty vehicle fuel used by Fleet Services. And PO 246381 also with Wex Bank in the change amount of $150,000 for a new total of $330,000 for light-duty fuel also used by Fleet Services. Next, the Board is hereby notified of the following cooperative purchases made. PO 246869 with High Tech Network and Security Solutions, LLC, in the amount of $122,727.03 for network backup storage services used by the Sheriff's Office. PO 246923 for Athens Technical Specialists, Inc., in the amount of $124,296.51 for wireless camera surveillance used by the Sheriff's Office. Cooperative purchasing agreement procurements over $250,000. Finally, the Board is requested to approve the following. Requisition 163821 for Elite Sports Builders in the amount of $301,516 for pavement of jogging track and east entrance driveway for juvenile court services. Requisition 163884 for CDW Government in the amount of $340,423 for Google Workspace software used by the IT department. And lastly, requisition 163951 for Dance and Construction in the amount of $631,876 for Pinal County Public Health Department renovation in Maricopa used by the Facilities Department. And that concludes your Purchasing Division report for April 13th, 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Any questions by the Board? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please, for Purchasing Division report?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the purchasing report as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you.
Item number 6, consent items. Is that all items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Let's see, I already have a request to pull item D, actually to withdraw item D. I have, let's see, a request for item AS by Vice Chairman Surdy for discussion. And then I have pull item BO by Mr. Volkmer, request to withdraw. Let's see, and item BT also by Mr. Volkmer. So can I get a motion to accept items? Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me back up here. Are there any other ones that anyone would care to pull?
AT.
AT. Are there any other items that anyone cares to pull at this time? Mr. Reveles, please come forward. Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, sometimes we do forget the public has an opportunity also. And I'd like to request for very brief information, pulling of the following consent items: Y, Z, AH, AQ, AR, BU, BV, BW, BY, and BZ.
I lost you. I was trying to write, and you were faster than I could write, so I got it.
Be happy to repeat it.
Yes. So I have Y, Z, AH, AQ, AR,
BU,
BU,
BV, BW,
BW, yes,
BY, and BZ.
and BZ. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So, okay, are there any other items that anyone cares to call or pull? And I will do my best to figure out what the motion is here. So, let's see. So, can I get a motion for items A through CD minus item D, AS, BO, BT, AT, Y, Z, AH, AQ, AR, BU, BV, BW, BY, and BZ.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion
Go ahead.
that we approve items A through CD on the consent agenda, with the exception of items D, AS, BO, BT, AT, Y, Z, AH, AQ, AR, BU, BV, BW, BY, and BZ.
I'm impressed you did not get tongue-tied. Thank you so much. So I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Let's start with item D by Ms. Kennedy. I believe it's just a request to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman, that is correct. The event has been canceled.
Okay. Next, we'll go to item AS. Vice Chairman Surtee.
You need a motion.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I need a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, back
Yes,
up.
Chairman, if we can make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the withdrawal of item D?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to withdraw item D from the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Now then, item AS. Vice Chairman Surtee.
Yeah, this is for a proposed electric sign on Kings Ranch Road, and very controversial for a new church that is moving in there with a theater. And I would like staff to explain why we're asking this to be withdrawn. If someone could do that.
Board members, Supervisor Surtee, it's being withdrawn because there is a notice deficiency. So therefore, we have to reschedule it for another board meeting. And that might actually be a good thing because it seems like there's a lot of consternation over the proposal. And the applicant will have time to work on those issues as we move forward.
So while it's being reproposed, they can take the community's input and let them know exactly why the community is opposed to this. And so when that does come up, I would like to get my 2 cents in ahead of time that it's not so much that the church wants the billboard, it's that they have a theater, which was previously in Apache Junction called the Zal Theater, and they did really classy stage plays. And they lost their venue in Apache Junction. They've landed out here in Gold Canyon. And I think they're so amazing that they're really not going to need a lot of promotion. because there's a new Chamber of Commerce in Gold Canyon, there's an Arts Council, and I think that if the community embraces this theater, that it'll sell out every night even without being promoted. So I just want to give that input that the community will have your back if you do this right. If not, then they're not going to want a flashy sign out there. So I just want to get that out there. And this will come back. How long do you think this till this comes back?
5 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
At a minimum. Yeah.
All right.
Any other? Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's a problem with the notice. We didn't get the notice in soon enough in the publication, or was it that we didn't have the sign out there that says that there's going to be and is there a neighborhood meeting scheduled for this notice?
For the neighborhood meeting, there isn't, but I think this would be a very good idea for the applicant to voluntarily go out and talk to some folks in the immediate area.
Okay, but the notice was because it didn't get in the newspaper?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none.
No.
Can I get a motion for item AS to be withdrawn?
I'll make a motion to withdraw item AS.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item AS is pulled or withdrawn. Next, we will go to item BO by Mr. Volkmer, request to withdraw.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, as this board's aware, the county has a policy. Anytime we want to even apply for a grant, we have to bring it before the board. However, sometimes grants are open for a very short period of time, and the board has given us a bit of grace where we can apply for the grant and then kind of after the fact bring it before the board and sort of ask the board to ratify or bless it. In this case, we already discovered that we did not get the money, so at this point there's no value in the board proceeding forward, so I'd formally move to withdraw item BO from consideration.
All right. Do I have a motion to withdraw item BO?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we withdraw item BO as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item BO is withdrawn. Item BT, Mr. Volkmer.
This is a very positive one that I wanted to pull off. I didn't want this to slide sort of through. This is a $4 million grant that the state of Arizona, our legislature, has given to Pinal County sort of as a pilot program, but to really focus on reentry. Just a really quick synopsis. Before we took office in 2017, the average daily population at our jail was about 725 detainees. As of yesterday, there were less than 500 in our jail. So despite the fact that we've seen about a 75,000 person increase in our population in the past 5.5 years, give or take, we've actually seen a reduction of roughly 30%. That's great. But one of the things that we don't have is we don't have a transition plan. So we get somebody out of our jail or they don't go to our jail, but we don't have anything to help them reacclimate into our community. So we went to the state legislature and we asked for these funds, and that's what these funds are really for. I know Rod McCone's in the audience. I know that Mary Ellen Shepard is, I believe she's here. I know she's listening. I know the sheriff's very involved, so there are a number of us that have been working. This is a $4 million pot that we have. We're hoping to get an additional $2.5 million next year where we can actually create something great here. We're doing a great job of attacking crime, but we're not doing as good of a job as we can to get people back into our community successful. So this is designed to work with our service providers. This is designed to help people meet their needs and to make sure that we can reenter them into society and they can be the productive members that we want. So this is, I think, an unbelievable opportunity that the state has granted us, and I, with all of the muster I can, urge this board to accept this money so we can really get to work.
I think this is a great program. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, County Attorney Volkmer. And I see Rod in the back there. And I don't know if he has numbers off the top of his head, but I've had a lot of discussion with his office and the reentry program that he put together. And when we can give these people a future, when they get out of jail, they get a job, they have a ways and a means to enter into society, the recidivism is very low. But if we just turn them out, they're right back. It's really high on the recidivism if we don't do these programs. And I maybe be a little bit off of this agenda item, but I don't know if you have any numbers off the top of your head that can validate the return on investment when we do these kind of programs.
Thank you, Chairman McClure, Supervisor Miller. I'm Rod McCone. I'm the Chief Adult Probation Officer, for the record. While my numbers may not be exactly, they vary obviously from year to year, but we know for a fact that there are certain factors that drive criminal behavior. And it's been our role to attack those very factors. And before I answer your question, this grant, which I'm proud to have been working with Mr. Volkmer, Mr. Lamb, and with Matt Thomas specifically, we've been throughout the state looking at programs, and this is an excellent opportunity. When I came here 6 years ago, we talked about really having a criminal justice system in Pinal County that was on the cutting edge, and that's really what this is going to allow us to do. And you're exactly right, Supervisor Miller, and I know we've talked about this, and we've seen the results. Right now, we are seeing on the probation side, if we're able to get a probationer working, get their housing secure, get them into treatment, those type of things, we're seeing a success rate of about 80 to 82%. That's without those resources, because in Pinal County, and Chairman McClure can attest to this too, that we are resource starved, and this is going to go a long ways for addressing not just perhaps people that we're supervising, but people who are that are coming into our jail, maybe for minor crimes and being released, but have high needs. That's kind of an underserved population. But if we send someone to prison, Supervisor Miller, and we just send them to prison, and prison does damage, the recidivism rate or the reincarceration rate is anywhere from 40 to 65%. County Attorney Volkmer has done an excellent job of making decisions on charging and sentencing options where the right people in Pinal County are going to prison, and the right people are being put on probation, the right people are being put on diversion, and the right people are just being let go. And I think that and I know that Mr. Volkmer has made presentations, this is the safest community or the safest county to live in the state. And our goal in this type of programming is to keep up that will be our focus. I'm a utopian. I believe we can adhere to those statistics. Mr. Volkmer and I may disagree about it that on time. We're both nerds, so we look at these numbers. I do want to commend Sheriff Lamb and Chief Thomas for their participation in this, because I work for the judiciary. We have no influence at the legislature, but the county attorneys and the sheriff's department have a huge influence, and this is going to go a long ways in helping Pinal County really be on the cutting edge. So I sincerely appreciate your support for this and for all you've done for adult probation. Thank you. Yeah. Did I answer your questions?
Yeah, no, that's good, Rod. And I just want to commend you on the good work you have done. My point is, this is money well spent. If we have an opportunity to get these kind of dollars, and we can put it into these kind of programs, it benefits the community. It benefits these individuals to turn their lives around. So
we really have acute needs in this area, such as housing, transportation, and some other, and employment. So those are the areas we're going to be working on. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Mary Ellen Shepard has been a driving force in this also.
Sure.
And it's great to have her experience. She's been through this with jurisdictions before. So we're in very good hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCone. Any other comments? All right. Let's see. So item BT, do I have a motion to accept item BT?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve item BT as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion BT, or item BT passes. Thank you very much. Let me see. Where are we now? How about item?
Why?
Oh, I'm trying to. Oh, here. Let's go to AT. That's second down my. That's down my list. Mr. Goodman.
Okay. This is, and I just want to, more of anything, just for clarification, this is a replat, correct? Where's our staff on this one? This is where this is located, gentlemen, is on the corner of Hunt Highway and Gary Road. Primarily the large commercial piece of property that the Home Depot just broke ground on, and which is something that I'm very proud of. So I'm going to spread that at certain points anyway. But there's a lot of retail leakage that we're losing directly out of our county in this particular general vicinity. So with this replat, one of the things that I need to be assured of is that this replat itself will encourage more retail type services in this general vicinity. Am I understanding that correctly?
Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Goodman, Lester Child, Deputy Director, Community Development. In place for Glenn, because I was able to contact the ownership yesterday to ask them, because it was owner initiated for this replat. Basically, the parcels or the lots that front on Hunt Highway needed to be reshaped. One needed to be split because they do have two commercial users, restaurant-type users, that one of the lots was too large for what they needed, so they split it into two, and now they have two users to come in to those lots. One lot needed to be reshaped or needed a little bit more dirt, only for what it needed, and so they have three users coming in, and that's why they needed to split that replat.
Okay. All right. That helps me.
Okay.
Which helps the public.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chow?
Oh, we didn't say you could go anywhere.
Can you tell me, is this a PAD that we're amending?
Supervisor Miller, no, it is not.
It's a straight zone?
Yes, it was. Well, back in, I believe, 2006 it was. So
was what?
They platted the subdivision or the commercial subdivision.
Okay.
So, yes, it wasn't a PAD, so it was a subdivision plat.
Okay.
Because it was divided into more than 5 lots. So in order to divide up again, they have to do a replat.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Okay, seeing none. Can I get a motion to accept item AT? Thank you, Mr. Chow.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item AT as presented.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion, or item AT passes. Now we'll go into the alphabet soup. Let's see here. Items, I think, can we do this together, Mr. Keller? Y and Z, they look to be the same basic thing. Is there any staff here to talk about Y and Z? HUD dollars? Good morning. You're nice and bright today.
Supervisors Board, this is my very first time here, and I'm actually sitting in for our Director, Rolanda Cephas. My name is Dorothy Williams with the Housing Authority, and I'm here today for our 2 items, which is our 2021 and 2022 Capital Fund Plan. And as we are looking to receive these funds from HUD so that we can make certain amendments and modifications to our public housing departments. So that's why we're here for approval.
Are there any questions by the board? This was brought up by Mr. Ravelis. Mr. Ravelis, do you have a question about this? Would you please come to the stand?
Mr. Chairman, they're not always questions, but I think and it's Roberto Ravelis from Gold Canyon. in the interest of transparency and accountability. Having worked in the Congress for 24 years, Mr. Chairman, I always feel that members of Congress get the short end of the stick because their efforts are never recognized at this level where the funding matters. So all of my comments are intended to provide additional information for the members and for the public on these funding matters. On that first item, that the grant, the housing money, all members of Arizona's delegation voted on it. However, it's important to note for accountability's sake that all Republican members voted against these funds. And so that's how I would proceed on the items, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vells. Okay, we have, let's see. Can I get a motion to approve? Can we do items Y and Z together? Can I get a motion to approve items Y and Z?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve items Y and Z.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Items Y and Z pass. Item AH. This is transfer of Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act grant funds.
Thanks, Chairman McClure, Board James Smith, Economic and Workforce Development Director. Item AH is a transfer of about $327,000 from the dislocated worker program to the adult worker program. We're finding that right now with the shortage of labor, companies are looking to hire people. We're not seeing the layoffs that would typically be associated with the dislocated worker program, the rapid response programs where if an employee is about to be laid off, they would get counseling on other jobs that are available, potential training to be hired into another position. Right now, we're seeing kind of a shortage in several areas, and so this transfer of funds is really to allow for training, proactive training in several areas, manufacturing, logistics. We have a truck driving program, healthcare. So these funds are being transferred into those programs to allow for training in order to kind of fulfill the needs of our local employers. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Supervisor Goodman, you have a question.
No, I'm good. This is, I think it's great. No, more than a comment than anything else, but I think this is great.
Good.
Any other comments? Question? No, it's a great program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, may I get a motion for item AH? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Revelis. I'm sorry, I didn't look out in the class there. I'm sorry.
5'6" won't get you much recognition these days, unfortunately. I say that with a smile. Mr. Chairman, again, in the interest of accountability and transparency, this item received bipartisan support. Both Democrats and Republicans supported this very useful funding that helps our working people. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, no, I'll make sure I look at it. I'm so sorry. All right, so let's see. Can I get a motion on item AH, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item AH as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item AH passes. Item AQ is for, let's see, submit a grant application to the U.S. Department of Transportation Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant Program for $25 million. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman McClure, members of the board. This is a grant application. I'm sure everybody's aware. The U.S. Department of Transportation, announced the availability of $1.5 billion of a bipartisan infrastructure law in order for us to do some transportation improvements throughout the county. So just to give you an idea, the Arizona Parkway, is a new high-capacity roadway facility that's going to connect growing communities and include a freeway network between the State Route 24, the SR 202, and Interstate 10. The first phase of the parkway, which is what we're applying for the grant for, is between the SR 24 extension and Ocotillo Road. The parkway will ultimately extend 9 miles south to Arizona Farms. So this is an area where what's called the mega region. So there's more than 80% of Arizonans currently live within this region, and will be nearly 9 million more in 2040. So that's kind of a little history about why we're applying for the funding. The grant application is due tomorrow, so we'll know in August if we get selected.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Garza. Are there any questions or comments on item AQ? Mr. Reveles. Sorry, I had to call him first because,
This is the way democracy works, democracy with a small d. On this item, Mr. Chairman, these are really important infrastructure funds that we're talking about. And again, it was supported by our Democratic members of Arizona's delegation, opposed, no votes in support of this by Arizona's Republican delegation. I say that only to inform the public accountability is important. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Reveles. Mr. Coward.
Dave Coward from Gold Canyon. I wasn't prepared to speak on this until I noticed it came up. Can't we punch that through from 24 up to the 60?
The second leg?
Just let's add a couple of million and see if we can do that.
A couple of million, that'll get you maybe like quarter mile, maybe. Okay, thank you. Did you have a comment, Mr. Surdy?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
The farther north, the better.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Item AQ. All right, may I get a motion on item AQ?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item AQ as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item AQ passes. Moving steadily along, item AR. This is a letter of support from Pinal County Board of Supervisors from San Carlos Irrigation and Drainage District funding. Mr. Smith. Was that pretty good, like Matrix? Almost kind of close.
Very well done. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Andy Smith, Pinal County Public Works Director. This is actually a letter for San Carlos Irrigation District's request that they want to have a partner, and I say partner, they reached out to the supervisors to get a letter of support for their application for this same RAISE grant that Ms. Garza was just talking about. They're trying to do it with some of their infrastructure that's crossing some of our roads, state highways, and that's basically listed in that particular resolution that they've supplied to you all for support.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don't rub your head like that.
Hey, it is.
No. I want to thank staff for helping to move this along. I've had several meetings with the San Carlos Irrigation District about some funding that they need in different places. We had a meeting with them, and we thought this was another place that we could reach out and get them some help. They have a number of crossings through their system that really are a safety issue. I don't think it would take much to go out there and see how narrow these areas are with ditches on both sides and no protection to be able to go off in them. So I want to thank Andy and his staff for helping us get this together and put it forward. So, thank you.
Is there any other? Oh, I see one. Mr. Revelis.
Mr. Chairman, again, an affirmation that our irrigation district folks need federal funding. Again, sadly, no support from Arizona's Republican members of Congress, support by Arizona's Democratic members of Congress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Revelis. Making a motion on item AR, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve item AR as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. AR passes. Thank you. Now we have item BU. This is Homeland Security for the grant. Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Matt Thomas, Pinal County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy. And this item is for our, it's our request to submit for the grant through Arizona DOHS for that $278,000, and that is going to be for portable radios and a drone detection system. And obviously the radios are for use for our officers, drone detection system. We know for some of our events that we have, some of the larger events where we're responsible for security, that the drone detection system allows us to detect and, if we have to, interdict drones that are coming in and that are security risks.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments by the board? Don't go away. Mr. Revelis.
Mr. Chairman, again, that item required funding from the federal government, and glad to report that it got funding, but not because of any help. No Republican votes in support of this budget item. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Revelis.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Miller, go ahead.
Just a quick question on that item, because this appears to be an application that we're applying for. When you said it's gotten funding, it was funded at the federal level, Mr. Revelis? Is that, and that we're applying with an application to okay. I just wanted to get that straight in my head. So, okay, thank you.
So, any other questions or comments on item BU? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
I'm sorry. Supervisor Kavanaugh.
So, Chief Thomas, if we receive this grant and receive the equipment, it detects drones over a geofenced area. Is that correct?
I don't know the particulars of the drone detection system. I just know that that's the system we're applying for, and I know that it is used for essentially when we're flying, if we're flying our own drones or if we have our own camera systems up or if we have helicopters coming in and out of those areas. Drones flown by private citizens into those areas are problematic, and so it's set up to detect that so that we know and can deal with that.
So if there is if this system, and perhaps you don't know the details on it, if this system detects a drone, there's nothing you can do except to avoid the area. There's no electronic jamming. You can knock the other one out of the sky or anything like that?
I don't know that this system has that, but there are systems to do that. And I, again, not knowing the particulars of the system itself, just knowing that we're asking for permission to put in for it. Because typically, when we put in for these grants, we'll look at a system or software, hardware, whatever it is, and say, okay, that's something that we could use. We'll apply for the grant. If we get notified, yes, you're successful, then we start working out the particulars. And again, I wasn't in the weeds on this particular detection system, so I can't answer the technical questions at this time for you.
Okay.
I can get the answers, though.
Well, it said that there was a The state Homeland Security Grant application says several years of threat and vulnerability assessments for the county's largest outdoor special events have consistently revealed gaps in protecting the public at soft targets and crowded places. Do you have a copy, or have you read a copy of that assessment?
I have a copy at the office. I have not read that today, and I haven't read it in quite a while.
Okay. Is anybody here who could answer a question on that?
Probably not, because I'm here for the sheriff's office, so you got me.
Okay. All right.
I can get you the answers that you want or need. I just don't have them here with me on the particulars of the system.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, would that be used like over like Country Thunder or something like that?
Yeah, those are the types of events that we're looking at. Country Thunder was one. There's the Balloon Fest out there. Anything that would require us to provide security, and we have our resources out there, that's where we've noticed the problem.
Okay. And on that, a little off topic, but Country Thunder was very well secured. I went out and took a tour. That was crazy, but great security out there.
Thank you.
Some things cannot be unseen, I can tell you that.
I know.
So, okay, so for item BU, can I get a motion for item BU, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item BU as presented.
And is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item BU passes. Thank you, Chief Thomas. Do not go away. As item,
There is a system for knocking drones out of the air.
well, he said it was.
If
like
they're low enough, it's called a shotgun.
Shot, oh, there you go. I thought it was like, phasers on, but okay, thank you. All right.
Put me on call.
Okay, item BV is also a grant submission to, looks like Department of Homeland Security for $4,700,000. Chief Thomas.
Yes, this is all part of our ongoing Operation Stone Garden grants. So this is another Stone Garden application, and it's used for our typical Stone Garden operations, which would be our overtime, our equipment, our air maintenance, our air fuel, all of those items, which we currently fund out of Stone Garden. This would be another year of those monies being used for those purposes, especially as we see the spike in the both illegal alien activity and human trafficking, and then the fentanyl deaths being the leading cause of death for 18 to 45-year-olds. That's all part of the problem that we're trying to address with these monies.
All right, are there any questions by the board? Any comments from the crowd? Mr. Reveles.
This will be my final comment. I think I've made the point. The point being that Arizona receives 43% of its revenues from federal government under a federal relationship versus the national average of 32%. Only the states of Montana, Wyoming, Louisiana, and Mississippi, they're the only states that depend more on federal dollars than Arizona. And I say this because this is a good return on investment. And this refutes the common bragging right that we always clear out. We stand on our own 2 feet here in Arizona. No, we stand as we should as fellow Americans, helping each other. That's the point I wanted to make, Mr. Chairman, and that accountability matters during general elections. We need to support those who support our communities. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Reveles. Okay, we have item BV. May I get a motion on item BV, please?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve item BV as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Item BV passes. Item BW.
Good morning, Chairman. Matt Thomas again, Sheriff's Office. This is another Stone Garden grant, and this one is just an amendment to the agreement to essentially move the grant money around. It's a budget amendment with no impact on the budget itself. And this is going to be used for our LPR annual subscription, our aviation fuel, and helicopter upgrade equipment. And a lot of these, what you'll see here in the next few that we discuss, is that we haven't had the chance to use the monies, and so we're having to make amendments. And that's because these typically lag a few years behind. So we're spending monies now from like 19, and then we're catching up into 20, and then into 21. And so we have to make those amendments to these grants as we go along when we haven't spent the money yet or haven't dipped into that particular fiscal year.
Could you just define LPR?
Oh, I'm sorry, license plate reader. So basically trailers with cameras, or some of the license plate readers are mounted on sheriff's office vehicles, and what it does is reads the plates, and then it'll notify our guys if there's a stolen vehicle that passed that location, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments by the board? Questions? Any comments or questions from the gallery? Mr. McCain.
Chairman McClure and Board of Supervisors, I'd like to say just one thing, that anytime we get money, it still affects the budget. Anytime they get these grants, it should be not, it's not, I keep hearing, well, it doesn't affect the budget. It does affect the budget, and I want that to be known.
Thank you. Any other comments? Make it a motion on item BW, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve item BW as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none? You were not. Okay.
Yeah.
Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Item BY. Let's see, another Homeland Security grant.
I'm getting my steps in.
Chief
going
Thomas,
back and forth.
I get it. Chief Thomas.
Another Operation Stone Garden grant. And when I say it doesn't affect the budget, typically what we use as our language is it doesn't affect the general fund. So it doesn't affect what we've already proposed to you as our operating budget for that year. So we're moving monies around, and I apologize for that language. So this is, again, we're asking for an amendment just to move monies because it's the same. It's Stone Garden, overtime, EREs, equipment, but we're asking to amend the budget to move that so that we have the ability to use it in the future.
Okay. Any questions by the board? Comments by the public? Seeing none, may I get a motion on item BY, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve item BY as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion BY passes. Item BZ. Oh, the steps again. Look at it. You
I know.
pull that phone out and check it. You must have a
I think
thousand.
Mr. Ravella's just wanted me to walk a lot today.
All right.
Chairman Matt Thomas again, Sheriff's Office, and BZ is the final Stone Garden amendment that we are asking for this session. And once again, just to make an amendment to allow us to use those monies as we move into the future.
So, are there any questions by the board? Any from the public? Seeing and hearing none, make it a motion on item BZ, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Go ahead.
move that we approve item BZ as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much, gentlemen. What the heck was that? That was item 7. Look at that. I have on here a recess for the supervisor. Or do we need to do a recess?
I could use it.
Oh, we do. Okay. So, yeah. Do I need a motion? Then we're going to recess for 10 minutes. That's right. That's right. That's why we wear jackets. All right. Well, since I've already recessed the Board of Supervisors regular meeting, I'm going to open the Flood Control District Board of Directors meeting. And we will go to that agenda now. And Mr. Wanamaker, I imagine, is here. Or not. Or Mr. Smith. Or not. No, then fine. All right. So we have consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Can I get a motion to approve items A and B, please? Unless there are any
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve items A and B as presented.
Second. There you go. Read my mind. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments? Hearing none. Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion's passed. Thank you very much. We will adjourn the, wherever that we are, the Flood Control District here, and we will open the Public Health Services District Board of Directors meeting. And these are all consent items as well. So all items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or a member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Are there any comments? Would you like to speak?
Mr. Chairman.
Spears, go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman McClure, Vice Chair Surdy, board members, Tasha Spears, Director of Public Health. We're requesting to pull item D for some corrections, please.
All right. Are there other comments here before we go? So we have consent items A through F. Thank you. And item D has been withdrawn?
No, or pulled.
Just pulled.
Just pulled.
Pulled. So can I get a motion for items A through F minus D, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve consent items A through F minus D.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Items A through F passed, minus D. Item number D. Dr. Spears.
Thank you. There are three corrections to this agenda item. The first is the Senate bill number is incorrect. So the Senate bill needs to read 1847 instead of 1823. The other two corrections were made because we received an email on April 5th from ADHS indicating that they were making two changes to the IGA, and the IGA had already been uploaded to your agenda. So the two changes are on page 1, the termination date is changed to be 6/30 of 23. And on page 3, item 4.1, the term was amended to say, quote, shall be effective as of the begin date and shall remain effective until the termination date. And I have brought the correct IGA.
All right. Are there any comments by the board? No. Any by the public? No. Hearing, seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve item D with corrections?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve item number D as presented with the approve as presented with the change of Senate Bill 1823 to Senate Bill 1847 with the revised version of the contract submitted to the clerk.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much, Dr. Spears. We will now adjourn the Public Health Services District Board of Directors meeting like that, and we will reconvene the Board of Supervisors regular meeting. Item number 9 is public hearing on ordinance 2022-PZ-004-20, which is an ordinance approving case PZ-004-20. Who is talking on this? Sangeeta Dokar. Are you here? Oh,
She was.
she was. Oh, there she is. I see her hiding over there. Well, I guess I can't see you if you're hiding, but I get.
Sorry, it's not hiding. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, board members. Sangeeta Devkar, presenting the next case, PZ-004-20. This proposal requesting a zone change from general rural zone to RU45, single residence zone, allowing a residential subdivision on approximately 90 acres at northeast corner of Randolph Road and Manchester, situated 4 miles east of I-10 and eastern Casa Grande. The subject site is located at northeast corner, as I said, very close from I-10, and the applicant is Michael Bushbacker from Hunter Engineering, and the owner is Kevin Peterson. This is the county map showing the location, very much central Pinal County. You can see that it's located in the Casa Grande area. The vicinity map showing 2 parcels and also showing the general zoning in and around the subject property. For a rezone, one can see that it's pretty much general rural, and the character is very low residential, density residential. Area map zooming into these 2 parcels, which are hatched in blue. You can see again, general rural on the north, south, east, west, and you can see CR1A on the eastern portion, on the northeastern portion of this parcels. The aerial map showing that the area is very much undeveloped at this point in time, and the subdivisions to the northern portion of northeast portion showing larger lots, showing the general density, again, very low density, and this is what is also being proposed by the applicant, which is changing from 1.25 acre to 1 acre parcels, which is similar on the surrounding areas. Comprehensive plan showing moderate low density residential, 1 to 3.5 dwelling units per acre. Zoning, again, change from GR to RU45, which is the new zoning. This is the portion showing the flood map, which the larger parcel, the 2 parcels that are shown are in red and marked up, and you can see the southeast portion of the larger parcel had a flood issue, which was resolved by the applicant working with the county flood division to ensure that the ponding does not happen in those parcels. And I can show you moving forward how they have resolved by showing the lotting and the designs of the footprints of that. This map is the site plan showing 67 lots that have been proposed by the applicant. Currently, those are the unpaved access to the parcels, the Randolph Road and Manchester, which has been, right now, the access is from the south, and it stops at that corner of the larger parcel southwest. They are planning to develop these roads as part of their proposal moving forward at the tentative plat level. And the portion, the flood zone plane, has been shown in that portion, which is on the southeast portion of the site plan. One can see the drainage that has been designed in a way that it channels the water from the north west side to the south east through channels and retention basins that have been located strategically, and taking that runoff and making them flow in the way they are historically taken to the southeast portion of the parcels. Site plan, the lotting study shows the way they have achieved the on-site retentions along with the footprints and the septic tanks, locations which have enough distances to ensure that there's no seepage into the septic tanks. So that was a study that was worked out and was worked with the flood divisions to ensure that flooding is taken care of. Some pictures taken from the north side into the parcel on the east side of this south, the pictures looking south into the property. East along Randolph Road, that's the point at which it stops, the dirt road at this point. However, it is going to be developed by the applicant moving forward. East into the parcel, again, showing the dirt road, which is the access at this point. This is west, the North Hyacinda Road. Again, the dirt road, which is showing the parcels to the east side. Some items that were considered were rezone basically is very similar to and compatible with surrounding parcels. The densities are very similar as mentioned earlier. And, single family residential traffic and access is already being worked with the county public works, and the traffic TIS was approved with stipulations for road improvements. Flood map also, the applicant did work very diligently with the county to ensure that they see that the runoff is not impacting those parcels to the southeast of the larger parcel. On-lot retention basins have been one of the design considerations to be provided for stormwater management and additional drainage easements to ensure off-site drainage through the property. There was a technical appeal that was approved by the county with all of these details that were worked out. There was one email from the property owners that was recommending denial. However, the applicant has been working with this property owner to ensure safety, flood issues, and access, so that they get access to their property, which is to the southern portion of the smaller parcel. Staff recommends approval. Planning and Zoning recommended approval to the Board of Supervisors with 14 stipulations. I'm open for any questions at this point in time.
Does the board have any questions? Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cicada, did you tell me that they're going to be 1 acre lots?
These are 1 acre lots.
And has that been worked out? Because I don't know, I'm just thinking about the septic system. There is no sewer plant out there. So the septic, they'll be able to do something in a septic on a 1 acre lot, because I've always understood it to be 1 1/4.
Correct. So 1 acre lots would be allowing, the septics are allowed on 1 acre lots.
They are allowed on 1
yes.
acre. Okay. I just want to be clear on that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And the 14 stipulations, are they out of the ordinary?
They're standard stipulations ensuring flood is taken care of, and developments and improvements along the access roads that would be provided as part of the development moving forward for the platting process.
Okay. I see. Okay. Any other comments? I'm going to open the public hearing to the public, and I have 2 comments at the moment. I have Mr. or Ms. Robertson.
Patty.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Hi, you guys. I'm Pat Robertson, and I'm a farmer, and I farm right next to the proposed division. I just want to let you know that I'm a farmer there, and I'm concerned about the flooding. Okay, I'm concerned about that. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, and then I believe it's Stilly White and Patty Lee. Good morning. It's still morning.
Close. Yeah, I'm a neighbor to this development, and my concern is.
No, your name.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought everyone knew me. My name is Steely White, and yes, I'm a neighbor to the development on the other side of the farmer, and I have a big concern about right-of-way with prescriptive easement. I've been trying to work with the developers on this, and it's been kind of back and forth. There's been not much of an answer yet. I'm being told that it will be addressed down the road, but I was hoping to have more guided idea of what's going to happen with my right-of-way before we get to the last minute. In terms of prescriptive easement, there's some cases that have been that I could cite, but they basically say that the path you take, the beaten path of access is what will continue. So if they had 1 million acres, they couldn't make their neighbor drive miles out of the way just to give any access. And I would like to continue to use the same right-of-way and easement. My family's been there for over 50 years using the same access through this property, as well as the utility company. We have, from time to time, heavy equipment that needs to come in, sewage pump trucks, very big, hay deliveries, various, and well pulling rig. That's all needs routine maintenance. And with the easement change that's proposed, it would make it very burdensome for any of that equipment to get into my property. And my other concerns are flooding, because we have the retention pond and a wash that leads on our side of the property, and it's got a very large grade change that's between 6 and 12 feet, depending on where you're standing next to it, and that would be directly next to homes. Actually, a portion of their property is off the drop-off of right around where the 12-foot area is. So it's pretty concerning just for people's safety, as well as erosion in the future. The flash floods, you guys all know how those go. As far as that area, I was hoping to discuss walls with the developer, and we got somewhere on the wall situation, but on the more steep direct drop-off, there is still no wall discussion there to keep people's safety and whatnot.
Out of curiosity, before I go to Supervisor Miller, where is your property located?
It would be on the south and the west portion of the
Southwest, okay.
south and west, yeah.
Can you pull the map back up,
Yeah,
please?
that's what was my question, Mr. Chairman, so I have a better idea of the location.
It's the panhandle L shape there.
The panhandle shape there.
The L-shaped property is my property. Funky L.
Oh, okay. Now I see the dots now. Okay. And where is your right of way now?
Currently, we go in between those two parcels that they're looking to combine into one development. We're right on the heading straight north, and then along the top, basically where the blue line is, a little bit north of that to the right, and we link up with Weaver.
Okay. Supervisor Miller, did you have a question?
Well, first I needed a better idea. So you're in this dotted area. And then there's two smaller dotted areas.
Yeah.
Right, and that's yours
Yes.
right there.
Correct.
And so, what would be the right hand edge of that? And that's where you believe you have the prescriptive easement. That's your access to your property.
Yes, it would be right through this area
Goes-
here, and then we take
Goes
this
north,
route this
that's-
way over and meets up with Weaver right here.
And meets up with. Okay, they don't show Weaver going through there. Okay.
So that affects your access because they don't want you to go that way anymore?
Yeah, they are looking to change the plans and give me a portion right here. These two small squares are not my property, it's a neighbor's property, and it's proposed a 15-foot easement there, which would be really burdensome to get a well pulling rig, a semi-load of hay, etc., all the equipment we need from time to time. Like it's just routine maintenance.
It's not a section line? Does anybody know if that's a section line? Obviously, nobody knows whether it's a section line or not. Where's the 12-foot drop-off that you were referring to?
It would be, so this is a big retention pond right on like this portion, but the drop-off is right here on the corner. Their property is actually over the edge of the drop-off, and the survey marker, it has not been surveyed. I know they're going off the Alta survey, but it has not been staked and marked out since the last meeting.
And the retention pond, a retention basin is yours?
Yes, it's on my property.
On
and then, yeah, this whole little L shape right here, that little long skinny part is a drop-off wash. And we've actually had somebody that two people rode dirt bikes and couldn't see it and went straight into it because the drop-off, besides there's signage up. And there is signage to tell them no trespassing, et cetera, but it doesn't seem to deter people.
And how long have you been working with the client on this? How many meetings have you had? Have you had any meetings?
There's been meetings and there's been emails back and forth. I actually went to the very first one back in like 2019 at CAC when they first had the plans proposed for this. And there's been emails back and forth, which they said they will work with the county on getting my issues addressed, but I'm still not getting any kind of solid information besides the change of easement.
Are there other comments or questions?
Well, 15 feet for semi trucks and things of that nature, if you're having those kind of deliveries, is really not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It would be.
To get the rigs in there.
Yeah. Do we have an aerial of this photo? And is there someone here from Hunter Engineering, I take it? There is? Okay, well, we'll call you in a minute here. You had it there.
Can you zoom in on that?
Go back to the other one. You had one before this. It was on there for a second. It was a little more of a close-up.
The other picture before was a little closer.
The other one was a little better, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Right there.
Is that your home there on the right side of that L?
Yeah.
To tell if that's a section line or not. It looks almost like it is. So, I'm not proposing this, I'm just saying this is a what if.
Okay.
Where that wash drains into that retention was improved to a point that was able to come in and access your property. Would that be acceptable? So it would be wider and wide enough? And
There's basically no way without completely changing the flow, and it catches so much water if If it was changed, it would flood out the operating engineers. As you can see, that blue line that goes down, it goes straight to their equipment yard, which is our whole property is raised up around the surrounding properties.
Right.
The small rectangle of theirs, which is north of ours, is basically also a bowl shape from past development on it. So it's a bowl, and it just catches a lot of water as well.
Yeah, no. I remember it. I've been out there a long time ago. So, there's a lot of water that comes off the Signal Peak area and that whole area.
Absolutely.
It really does.
So,
I want to hear from the engineering firm.
would a better easement be down Manchester?
Well, that's what I'm just kind of.
I mean, because
I don't
that
know
goes
what-
almost
I
straight
don't know.
to.
I don't know how many options have been presented to this adjacent, and I don't know.
So
I'd like to know more about the thought process because it does create a difficult access to this lady's property, which is concerning to me. I mean, and I'm all about making sure that we can develop lands. And I have to say, the little bit of interactions I've had with Mr. Peterson in the past have been pretty positive. So I just wonder if there's another solution here. But maybe if the engineering.
We can call the engineering group up, sure. Thank you, Ms. White.
Yeah, thank you.
Chair and Supervisors, my name is Mike Bushbacher. I'm a certified planner, and I work at Hunter Engineering, 10450 North 74th Street, Suite 200, Scottsdale, Arizona. We're going to answer questions for you. I would like to make a quick statement that we did provide some access routes that maybe haven't been discussed so far as an alternative for a north access. But I'd also like to state that the resident has access to the south, from the south. So the property isn't limited as far as access. We're just trying to help provide a solution for her north access. One of those would be if we could go to the site plan. Is it before?
Next.
Next.
Oh, you're going backwards.
Up.
You're going backwards.
It'd be easier to,
Yeah.
okay. So if you can see there, we are proposing that there would be drainage through these areas on the cul-de-sac, and we would, actually, an easement. Right here, we're proposing an easement to allow fire truck access up to this cul-de-sac. What we would like to do is maintain that and have that either that point or a point down here, but preferably this point here, be provided as an alternative for the north access that she's claiming for prescriptive easement, Ms. White. And then she could enter onto our streets and then go through here and then have paved access all the way up through to McCartney, which isn't existing right now, which should be able to handle any type of large vehicles, for example. It's designed for the small portion here is designed for a fire truck, so it could handle semis.
So she's going to come through a cul-de-sac.
We would allow
have an
her-
opening in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that would be. It appears like a property line goes through there, and you're gonna eliminate. You're gonna make that lot smaller, and you're going to have access, onto the cul-de-sac.
We would allow that for her north access when she needs it, for whatever reasons, as an
day?
alternative. I'm
Every
sorry.
day?
Yeah, we would provide basically a stable, firm surface for the fire truck, and we would allow her to have that same access through there.
For well trucks and for hay trucks and for.
Correct, that's what's been
If a
proposed.
fire engine can get through there, I think. How wide? I mean, I guess.
I believe it's 20. I have to double check. Roughly 20 feet.
Doesn't that, I don't want to get down in the weeds too much here, but doesn't that concern you that if you carve out the width of a right-of-way, that you're going to be less than an acre on that lot, on those two lots? If I'm picturing what you're describing to me correctly.
So we've actually calculated and made the easement there and allowed for that so that that lot is still 1 acre.
Still 1 acre?
Yes.
That just seems like it would create tension with the residents on the 1 acre lots to have trucks coming through. I know that that's an issue
On a
down
daily
by where
basis.
I know that's an issue where I live, or by where I live for some residents in Saddlebrook. So I know that that would probably be a problem for those people as well.
Chair and Supervisors, we would like to continue to work with Ms. White as we have been since 2019 and continue to provide options to find a route that works to satisfy her claim.
So, may I ask?
Please.
Chairman? So are you asking us to maybe table this until you guys come back with something that works?
We really don't see it as a zoning issue per se.
Okay.
It is something that would be handled at the pre-plat level, and we are anticipating moving into that next. This is also what we had with
So you just want to zone this to the, what was it, RU 43?
RU43, correct.
43. So there's no plat design at this point.
Correct.
I mean, you have some preliminary plat design here.
Actually, it's still conceptual site plan. The preliminary
Still
plat
conceptual?
would be the next.
That's for the record?
It's on there. It says conceptual
Okay.
allotment plan.
Because, I mean, I understand property rights, but I think Ms. White has a bit of a property right issue here herself. So I want to find something that works for both of you. And so I guess I don't have a problem with the zoning of it at this point in time, but I certainly would not be in favor of the proposed access that you've just came before us with, and find something more palatable that works for your neighbor in this case.
We're open to continuing those discussions and working with her.
Okay.
So in that case, since this is conceptual and this is just merely rezoning.
We're just rezoning two pieces, or a piece of property to.
That's correct. Okay. So, okay, we will close the, oh no, are there more? I'm sorry, your height.
No.
There you are.
Yeah.
Okay, please come forward.
Here comes Rose.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see you through the.
I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Rose Robertson. I'm with Alligator Farms. I'm with the property to the east of this development. I just wanted to throw out there, retention ponds bring mosquitoes, and this is a horrible area for mosquitoes as tons of water does sit in the property between their development and our property, my berm to the right. There's tons of water that sits there. Mosquitoes are going to be horrible. And then my other thing was the water has to go somewhere. Can we get the little flooding map back up? So they've put some developments to the north off McCartney, and that water has been pushed and aimed right towards the historical development on Randolph Road to the east of my property. And they've been flooded pretty severely a few times. 2017, some of the houses were abandoned because the water from the north is now aimed right at them. They just built 3 new houses on Randolph. They're very high in the air to hopefully hold that water. But if this water has nowhere to go and the retention ponds, it puts even more pressure to the north of my property. And I don't know how much my berm can withhold. It's never flooded to the north until the development to the north came in. So where it's blue north of my property, it's saying it's flood. Is that a flood zone? I don't know if that's what that means. Oh, it's a control. Okay. Because if more of that water is pushed off of where the development's going, where does that water go? You know, it's going to hit my berm, but the people who live in trailer houses and stuff to the east of me, they've been flooded a couple times, and these developments are that reason, is they're just pushing water off their properties. So it's got to go somewhere, and it's a concern, and mosquitoes suck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
If I may.
Okay, Supervisor Miller, go ahead.
If we could only get some rain. I'd love some rain. No, I understand, Rose, and those trailers to the east of you have been flooded many times. Those and there's a case where development took place many years ago before there were the regulations and before we studied these. And I think we do a pretty good job of on developments that whatever runoff you create, you do have to retain on site. So those aren't. I mean, we're not doing it the old way like yesteryear. We do have new methods there, and that has filled up with water for years because there's just never been any development out there. I think that we can and will establish the flood issue as we go through with the development. To the zoning portion of it, that's one thing, and that's what we're dealing with here today. So I think we ought to focus on that, and then if it's all conceptual, really put a close eye on the process after this to ensure that the neighbors and everybody are satisfied with the development when it goes forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any other comments from the public? All right, we'll close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion on item 9. Go ahead. Yes.
I'd like comments from the citizens who own these properties if they're objecting to the development, the change, or just the water issue. Can we make?
Okay, I'm sorry. We can go back. Let's open the public hearing back up just a little bit here. Ms. White.
Hi, Steely White again. Yes, I am objecting, seeing as I've been trying to work this out since 2019, since it began, and I'm still getting pushed off to the side. This is mainly the reason why I'm objecting. It's my grandfather owned this property. He was a doctor that served this community, and we're trying to be caretakers for that land still to this day, and we're not being taken care of as far as what we're trying to get answers on, and it's been several years.
So, did that answer your question, Chairman?
Yeah, I object.
Or, I mean, I'm sorry, Ms.
Supervisor Cabinet.
Yeah, that answers my question.
Okay, so you, okay.
I'm going to try not to jump around. Okay, I've lived in Arizona forever, and I welcome everybody. Everybody should be able to live in Arizona because we are, like, beautiful. I farm there, I farm there, and I just don't want to get flooded. Okay? Thank you.
Ma'am?
Ma'am, could you state your name again, just for the record?
Pat Robertson, Alligator Farms.
Thank you. And you had a question, Supervisor Kavanaugh? For
Ma'am?
Pat Robertson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Robertson.
So do you object to the plat being changed entirely to residential or just the water issue?
The water issue and the agricultural issue and the mosquito issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Supervisor?
Yes.
All right.
We have another gentleman.
I have another gentleman out here in the audience. Yes, sir. Please come forward. State your name and generally where you live.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Matlock, and I'm part of the team that owns the property. I'm kind of new at this, so I'm not a deep understanding of all the engineering, but I can speak as part of the ownership team for the property. So our intent is we don't really have the platting deeply developed yet because we don't have the zoning in place. And so as you can imagine, 1 1/4 acre lots versus 1 acre lots would change a lot of approaches. So to invest the dollars and the money into specifics when we don't have that zoning in place, we're going to have to undo that then if we don't get the zoning that we were hoping for. We're committed to solving whatever access problems and so forth have to be solved to develop the property. And we are building houses further north, but we didn't develop that property. It was already done, and all those decisions had been made. I've met with Ms. White and have discussed possible options. She gave new information back, but we're kind of on hold with getting a firm idea and spending the dollars to get the engineering done and making clear trade-offs until we know where we're standing. So I don't think any of the things that have been brought up, and again, I'm no engineer, but I don't think any of the things that have been brought up today would be mitigated by 1 1/4 acre lots versus 1 acre lots. I think the issues would still be there. So the existing zoning, is my understanding, is for 1 1/4 acre residential development. And what we're proposing is to go to 1 acre, which would be similar to the projects all around. And that's really all we're doing. So at this point, the engineering that we've done is just to start these discussions and to make sure we're accommodating all the things that we have to accommodate before we go to that pre-plat meeting where they're going to ask us to cross every T and dot every I. We just haven't gone that far yet because we're hoping to get this 1 acre zoning. And I hope that clarifies from the ownership standpoint.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Goodman.
Okay, so just to make sure our staff should come forward again, please. Just to be clear here, it's currently zoned 1 1/4 acres, correct?
That's correct.
And all we're doing is changing it to 1 acre,
That's correct.
which would allow them to figure everything so that they can accommodate all the landowners around there, address the draining issues, address the access to it, and that's at a later point whenever the final plat or whatever the case may be. But this will allow them more flexibility to accomplish what they need to accomplish.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Goodman, or Miller, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, so zoning it to RU allows it to go to 1 acre.
RU 45, yes.
RU 45 says 43.
Sorry, RU 43. I'm sorry. It's 43.
Boy.
It's 1 acre is for 40,300 something
Okay.
acres. So
Okay.
it's 43.
If they didn't, so what they accomplish is probably another couple of lots.
That's correct.
That's the reason.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. If they don't, if they stayed at GR, they did 1 1/4.
1 1/4.
Quarter. But if they developed it at 1 1/4, they would, a subdivision with a plat, they would still be required to do the drainage, do everything that they're going through here.
That's correct.
The only thing it's accomplishing is probably going to give them 2, maybe 3 more lots. I mean, just quick math. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the process for either is the same.
The process is the same. All of these details regarding access, flooding, the outfall that Steely White was talking about, they would be coming up at the T-plat level where finer details would be designed and, of course, would be stipulated at the plat level.
Yeah.
Which is another public hearing at the planning and zoning level.
But the owner, and thank you. I mean, that's just what I was thinking, and we weren't articulating that very well. So, but the owner brought up a good point, and this has been my point with a lot of zoning issues. I don't want to get too wide. They're not going to invest a lot of money in a plat and in the design and all those things that have to happen for the plat until they know they have the zoning. If they have the zoning, then they feel comfortable that they can go forward with their project. So, anyway, I'm sorry I editorialized there a little bit, but anyway.
That's okay. You're starting a newspaper. It's good. Okay, so no other public comments? All right, we will close the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion on item 9.
Mr. Chair, or you?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 9 as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
With-
I'm sorry. With the
14.
It was unanimously voted 7-0 at the Planning Commission, and it has 14 stipulations.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed. Okay. Just checking to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So so let's see. Okay, I have 4 ayes and 1 nay, essentially. And so motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Item 10 is a public hearing and discussion for ordinance number 2022-PZ-041-21, an ordinance approving case PZ-041-21. And I have Mr. Evangelopoulos.
Hello.
Nice job.
Hey. Board of Supervisors, Chair McClure, Vice Chair Surdy. Still good morning, I guess, for a few minutes, right? 2 minutes. My name is Evan Evangelopoulos, here with Planning, with the Planning Department. I will present to you a case at the intersection of 79 and 60 in Pinal County. Oh, yeah. It's the Peralta RV development. And it's a rezoning and a PAD overlay district. Currently, you'll see on the map, the zoning is, there are 3 zones on the property, CB2, CI1, and GR, and the request is to rezone it to PM RVP, Park Model Recreational Vehicle Park, and the corresponding PAD. The area is about 53 acres. The applicant is AZRV Group, LLC, with Willie Greenwood. Landowner is Naval Land and Cattle Company. And as I said, it's exactly at the intersection of 79 and 60. This is the location within the county. This is on an aerial photograph. If you take 79 and you keep going, you'll just butt end onto the property, basically. This is the property of 3 parcels right now. And you can see here the 3 zones, the commercial, the industrial to the south, east, and the general rural. Now, this is what makes this project interesting. This is the high-intensity activity center within the comprehensive plan. And I'm sure you're familiar with it to a point. It has 3 zones, the core zone, the core periphery, and the transition zone. And each one has certain requirements in there regarding density and uses. And you can see it's pretty much bullseye over there. There's an activity center, and the project falls within the 2 outer rings of the activity center. So there's a close-up. So the core periphery, as you said, which is the middle ring, suggests a mix of mid and high-intensity residential uses, including resort developments, while the transitional zone in the outer ring of the activity center suggests medium-density residential uses. So the average density of the 2 rings can exceed 14 developing units per acre, which is beyond what the property is proposing, what the project is proposing, at 9.16 developing units per acre. So again, a review of the current zoning. You can see the CB2, the commercial part of the property, the GR and the CI1 at the southeast corner, which used to be a gas station. There's some offices over there also. This is the proposed layout of the RV development. Currently, 504 sites, about 53, 55 acres, 5 acres of recreation. There's a wastewater treatment plant in the west, on the west side of the property, which will come up later. They're proposing airstreams, casitas, RVs. This is viewed to the north. View to the south, right to the overpass. This is viewed to the east. And view to the west, this is from actually the old gas station area. There's a huge parking lot over there, and you can see the communications tower that's at the tip right outside the property. Items for Board of Supervisors consideration. It's an approval, a request for approval of a rezoning and a PAD. If the applications are approved, the subject property will be rezoned from CB2, CI1, and GR to PM RVP 435, Park Model Recreational Vehicle Park, and allow an RV resort development of 504 units. Mostly RVs, but also casitas and airstreams. No letters of opposition so far to the development. Obviously, the development has legal access. It also, that's a very important aspect, I think, of this development. It lies within what the comprehensive plan calls the hospitality tourism corridor of US 60, SR 177, and SR 77. The property complies with the average density of the two outer rings of the high-intensity activity center. And as usual with every development, granting of the rezoning and the PAD will require, after the time of approval, that the applicant owners submit and secure from the applicable and appropriate federal, state, county, and local regulatory agencies all required applications, plans, permits, and supporting documentation and approvals. Recommendation is approval with one stipulation for the rezoning and 14 stipulations for the planned area development. The stipulation within the rezoning is the typical stipulation within most rezonings. What I just read, basically secure from all the applicable federal, state, county, and local regulatory agencies, applications, plans, permits, and supporting documentation. Now we come to the PAD. There's 14 stipulations here. The development shall follow all requirements of the PM RVP zoning district. All landscaping, trees, and shrubs shall be of native Arizona vegetation. That is also to comply with the tourism corridor that I mentioned, that's as specified in the comprehensive plan. The conceptual landscape plan as submitted shall be of a context-sensitive development and an authentic Arizona experience, subject to review and approval of the Community Development Director. And some traffic comments. All peripheral road and infrastructure improvements shall be per the approved traffic impact analysis. And Pinal County TIA guidelines. I'm not reading the whole stipulation. A drainage report is also typical of every development. Right-of-way dedication shall be free and unencumbered. And all the access locations, alignments, roadway sections shall be approved by the Pinal County engineer. And number 10, we have a list of accessory buildings permitted within the development, which is a resort, recreational meeting and gathering of 3 spaces, resort welcome center, limited retail area, eating restaurant establishments, outdoor theaters and pavilions, game courts, tot lots, resort recreational uses, casitas, airstreams, and on-site water treatment and wastewater management facilities. These are uses that the applicant requested for us to add into the stipulations. Analogous or similar uses associated with the resort may be reviewed and may be approved by the Community Development Director. Stipulation number 11, a wall plan shall be provided at the time of the site plan review process. This is also a stipulation requested by the applicant. And park models shall be allowed on-site in any configuration of up to 250 resort spots. It's another applicant requested stipulation. The overall number of resort spots remains 504. So, this is the interesting part of this project, which is the wastewater treatment plant in the west corner of the project. And this is relatively new for the county. And to facilitate the establishment of the treatment plant, which is regulated by the state to a large extent, we try to help the applicant with a temporary vault and hall system in the beginning. That's stipulation number 13. And if you see in the staff report, there's about 11 sub-stipulations within that item to regulate the system for the benefit of the county and the residents around. And the same thing with the packaged treatment plant. There's several sub-stipulations that address state, county regulations, local regulations, and also pre-development, during development, and post-development conditions. Of course, a decommissioning plan at the end. So this is the presentation so far and the summary presentation of the treatment plant. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Miller and I do.
Oh, well then, fine. Supervisor Miller, since you're at the top of the list there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's just a couple of things. Well, I only picked up on why are we using Airstream? Only Airstreams can come in there, or
no, I think the applicant can answer that. That's
generic.
That's a,
generic. Okay.
That's a fun trailer or RV.
Okay. Really, now my serious questions. One is the traffic study, and I know that we're way out in front of this because all we're doing is zoning it here, but that intersection can get pretty busy at times, and I'm just curious as how far out our study would go, because that gets out to the ADOT highway. I think it's pretty close access.
Okay.
If I'm correct. And I don't know. I just am curious as to,
Understood.
That traffic study would really encompass how much of the transportation system will it encompass when it's being looked at. So okay, maybe maybe some engineer or some. Well, Brent's back there. And then to the vault and hall, and then to the package treatment plant. I guess my question is the guarantee that they go to the package plant. I mean, I guess how do we secure the security that package plant will get built? Because we can't do a vault and haul for what I think 2 years is what is allowed, and so what's the thought of staff and the owner to pursue that? So those are just some simple questions by me.
Absolutely, yes. And we came in, I can start this. We came into agreement with the applicant and the owner about the vault and hall, and it's all both the vault and hall and the packaged treatment plants. And there is a limited time for the vault and hall. It's 1 year. Yeah. There may be an extension of another year.
Okay.
And there's regulations that about the amount, about the construction, about an engineer inspecting it after it's built. So there is enough regulations, I think, and we can verify to address also odor, smells, and noise.
Yeah, and well, I think the way I'm thinking about it is there should be some benchmarks that we have a design within that first year of the plant, that we maybe even have some bond money available that secures that facility gets built, because I think that's that's the real key to this thing, is making sure. And package plants work great, and they're designed well, and I don't have a problem with them. I think we're going to find ourselves using them more and more often just because we don't have the infrastructure out there. And it's a viable option. But anyway, I just want to make sure that we monitor it as we go forward.
Yes, and Frank will explain.
So I've got two answers, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Miller, first off on the traffic impact study. As I think everybody knows, that old gas station that's been abandoned there at Florence Junction is very close to the new realignment and the structure that exists there. So when they do their traffic impact study, it will encapsulate a whole area, probably 1 mile by 1 mile. So that access, that interchange, the on and off throughput will be analyzed as part of the TIA itself. With respect to Vaulton Hall, just for the board's edification, Vaulton Hall as well as package plants have been concerns, and they've been issues that the county has had to deal with in the past. So they have been severely limited in terms of approval by the county for a long period of time. We have 3 separate developments, this being one of the 3 that can only be built, quality developments that can only be built through a package plant because they don't have access to a sewer from a city or from a sewer district. This is one of those 3. So Mr. Liu, Mr. Patel challenged me and my team to come up with some protections under the law and under our code to ensure that some of the negative experiences the county's had in the past regarding these types of activities would be mitigated. One of the things I would point out with respect to Vaulton Hall with this project is the engineering design of the package plant has to be done before they can Vaulton Hall, and the package plant has to be under construction. So as part of that, assurances will be in place. They're given 12 months to essentially bring that treatment plant and get their permitting online. There's a lot of process that will be required to get to that point. There will be at least 2 state permits, including an aquifer protection permit and a discharge permit, also known as a ZIPTES permit, as well as a regional 208 amendment that will have to be done and approved by CAG. So there's a lot of process to get to that point. The conditions of approval that you have in front of you for both the Vaulton Hall as well as the package plant have been vetted by our legal team and also in coordination with ADEQ. So I think we have a good platform. We've met with the developer, and they're supportive of the controls as well. So I hope that helped.
It does, and thank you, Mr. Billingsley, because for them, I want them to know as well that the commitment as we go forward with a project like this. I think it's a good one, but again, I don't want them, the developer, to be surprised, and I want to protect the community at the same time.
I'm in a little bit of trouble, Mr. Chairman. I didn't announce who I am. So I'm Brent Billingsley, and I'm the Community Development Director. I apologize.
I called you out, didn't I?
Thank you for catching that, right. Let's see. Okay, this has a public. Any other comments?
Did you have a question?
I'm sorry. You know what? I just
That's
forgot
okay.
all about
Well,
you. He went on for so long.
I'm like Mr. Rosales. I'm too short.
So.
No, I think what Supervisor Miller's questions is along the same lines of what I was looking for because of some of the issues that we've had to deal with particularly in sewer treatment facilities. But the interesting note, and this is kind of a fact, an interesting fact, is this Naval Land and Cattle Company is actually, their headquarters are in Belly Button, Arizona. Is that correct? Okay. Just so, anyway, that's one of those facts that I think is important.
Is there a lint there?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. Any other comments by the board? This piece has a public hearing aspect to it, and so we will open the public hearing. And
Chairman,
ma'am.
before we open the public hearing, can we have the presentation by the applicant?
No. Sure, let's do that. Sorry about that.
I have to warm up a little bit, but I appreciate it. Thank you for
acknowledging our presentation. My name is Dennis Newcomb. I'm with the law firm of Gamage and Burnham, and with me today is Lindsay Shuby with the law firm of Gamage and Burnham. Also with me is the the button of the property owner, I should say, Kurt Johnson, correct? Corey, sorry. You keep us so cold, and it takes a while for the jaws to move. Also have Ron Beard, who's part of the development team. Willie Greenwood would have been here this afternoon.
A long day.
Long day. But he unfortunately had a medical emergency, but he's been tapping in on his phone from the hospital, making sure that everything's going on okay, and he's actually watching it right now, so I bet it'll be good. Also, watching from afar from Chicago is one of the other future ownerships of the property, Alan Lev. So he's looking forward to seeing this come to fruition. I would be remiss in not saying that I recognize the long day we've had, the long morning we have, and certainly I've been told by many in my field that keep it short, Dennis, keep it short, Dennis, keep it short, Dennis. I said, well, I always try to keep it short. Unfortunately, I have a mother who is an Italian mother, and she likes to keep things long. But I will try to do my best and keep this short this afternoon, and hopefully my brevity will be rewarded. I'm just going to go quickly. Evan's done a great job. We're in full agreement with all the stipulations, with the PAC statement, sewer stipulations. Believe me, when I heard all these stipulations, my jaw dropped. It was a long morning. We discussed it with Brent and his team. I think everyone on staff has been thoughtful, meticulous, caring, understanding of the project and what we want to do here today. I want to thank the Vice Chairman Surdy for his dedication. Connie and your staff has been phenomenal. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor Surdy, for that. We do appreciate it tremendously. This has been a long time coming. It's been about a year or so that we've been working on this, and we're glad to be here in front of you. Thank you, Evan and his team, for all they've done in planning. We are thrilled to be here. I'm going to just cut it short. That's really what I'm here to say. Thank you again. Appreciate the time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Are there any questions from the board?
I just want to comment that when you hear the title of what this is, but this ain't your granddad's RV park. It's the new way they're going to be built, and it's going to be an entertainment venue also. It's going to be a great asset.
That's cool. Thank you. Yes, it will be. And that is really key here. The dollars that's going to be spent on a project like this is somewhere in the tens of millions of dollars, really, to get this up and going, obviously from the water, from the sewer. As you can see in some of these photographs, these are just illustratives to show it's not for me, it's not the Coleman cook pot out in the stove on the camp. This is glamping, this is yoga, this is pickleball, this is gardens, this is pools, this is restaurants, this is a resort. So we're thrilled to be here in front of you with this concept. It's not necessarily a new concept in the sense, but it's become it's been elevated with the COVID surgeons and everyone wanting to get out. Airstreams, we represented Airstreams. Both Ms. Chuby and I represented Airstream. They're a phenomenal business. Everyone loves them. He says he doesn't even have to advertise because I just did it for him. So we appreciate that. It's not just going to be the Airstream. It's going to be
I can come with my Coleman?
You can come with the Coleman cooktop. We have a spot for you. So thank you again. We look forward to seeing Supervisor Surdy and his dog there, and Connie as well when we have the groundbreaking, because we certainly believe this is the right location, and we certainly believe that a rising tide lifts all, and that this area will see some additional development with commercial, retail, and other elements that could come along with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other comments from the board? Questions? No? All right.
Chairman, thank you for calling me sir. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So now this does have a public hearing aspect, so we will now open the public hearing. I have one request from Mr. Revelis.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
In reading the background to this, I've noticed there's been a fair amount of levity during what I consider a very serious application. And in reading the transcript, I was determined to serve as a voice for people who have approached. My name is Roberto Reveles. I'm approaching the board as president of the Gold Canyon Community Incorporated, a nonprofit that seeks to identify issues that impact the quality of life for all of our hospitality and tourism corridor extending from Gold Canyon, Apache Junction, eastward. We are not opposed to the rezoning, but we have received a number of concerns, and I'd like to go through to ensure that I accurately reflect the concerns that have been brought to our nonprofit organization. After reviewing public documents regarding agenda items 10 and 11, Gold Canyon Community Inc. would like to submit the following questions and concerns that we believe have not been fully addressed simply because no actual public participation, according to the record, has occurred due to the isolated site of this significant project. While the applicant, I think, flippantly said in the transcript that he paid so that opponents wouldn't show up, that's in the record. Staff nonetheless acknowledged that a community meeting had been held, although the record does not reveal when, where, or what, or how many at a community meeting. But as supporters of long-term sustainability of our area's recognized hospitality and tourism corridor, we bring these concerns to the board as constructive observations to ensure support of the corridor's unique natural values. Therefore, we believe further explanation by the staff and hopefully offering an opportunity for public discussion is justified based on the following issues before a final decision is made by the board. Water. The developers state that water for the facility of 504 fluctuating short-term residents will be sourced from 2 on-site wells. This will include irrigation for landscaping and high water use features such as lazy rivers. How deep are these wells? And what is the present or projected output of each? How will their use affect the aquifer level? Does the AMA place limits on pumping volume? Are there studies on how aquifer levels of surrounding communities, such as Queen Valley or the Arizona Resort, will be potentially affected? The applicant stated they don't have plans to use treated water for landscaping or other non-potable uses. However, since conservation is an essential response to water shortage, why isn't that part of their plan? On water treatment, lots of processes involved, we've been reassured this afternoon. The developers state that wastewater hauling is proposed for 1 to 2 years using a vault and haul system. Questions: where will waste be hauled to? What happens if a permanent sewer system cannot be secured within 2 years? In Gold Canyon, we experienced a sewage system that developed into a serious odor problem, for example. What are the precautions taken to prevent accidental leakage? The applicant didn't seem to be aware of changes to recharging. Will they be in compliance with changing water usage requirements due to our drought conditions? Landscaping and environmentally sensitive planning. The developers suggest a year-round, quote, colorful, unquote, landscape environment for the facility. Questions are: how much water is necessary to maintain colorful landscaping? Will the two wells provide a sufficient supply of water? How can the developer's vision be reconciled with the county's stipulation that, quote, all landscaping, trees and shrubs shall be of native Arizona vegetation? Will 100% of the existing native vegetation be harmed, destroyed, in order to flatten land for construction of the pads and all? Or will the developer comply with a 2011 Pinal County rule to maintain a certain percentage of existing vegetation? Oversight. What are the county oversight mechanisms in place to ensure the developer's compliance with the above? Traffic. What are the plans to mitigate the added traffic on the already overloaded US 60 with the additional visitors who will have to go into Gold Canyon, Apache Junction for services, supplies? Is a traffic study part of the analysis for approval? We just heard yes. Market study. Although applicant referenced a market study, no data was entered into the record. Has the applicant actually conducted a market analysis to indicate there is a true year-round market for this facility? There is a similar resort, not as high-end as the proposed one, just a short distance to the west, that is virtually empty during the 5 months of 91-plus degree weather. So, Mr. Chairman, these are comments and questions that Gold Canyon neighbors brought to our GCI's attentions since they became aware of today's agenda considering this major luxury RV resort project. However, lessons we should all have learned from the past year, the experience with major amendment on rezoning. The lesson that private investors and public planners are more likely to succeed in growing and managing our county's sustainable economy by ensuring timely participation and by buy-in by an informed public. We must do better outreach, Mr. Chairman, to ensure public involvement no matter how isolated the planning site. Only then, Mr. Chairman, can we say that Pinal County is genuinely moving towards its aspirational motto, wide open opportunity. So we suggest that perhaps this action should be tabled to ensure more public participation and support for what appears to be a wonderful opportunity for growing our economy in our neighborhood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vellis. Mr. Evangelopoulos, can you answer some of those questions, please?
Yes. Regarding the public participation report, there was a meeting, and none of the public showed up.
So let me back up then. So for the public meeting, how far?
1,200 feet.
Okay, that's the issue.
That's the issue, yes, yes. And Gold Canyon is quite far away. Yeah. And we could have requested another public participation meeting at Gold Canyon or Queen Valley. It never came up. And the 8x4 big yellow sign had been there during the Planning and Zoning Commission, for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and it's been advertised to the papers. So all the processes have been followed.
Which papers was it advertised?
Arizona Republic and Pinal Central over here. And Superior Sun, yes.
Okay. And just to throw a conversation out, and those are papers that you received, Mr. Reveles?
I'm a subscriber to the Arizona Republic, but I don't read public notice section.
Okay.
Okay. So all the required procedures were followed. So that's regarding that. Regarding native landscaping, the stipulations prevail. No matter what the report says, it's what's in the stipulations. And that's what has to be followed. And I was pretty adamant when I created those stipulations because it is within the Arizona Tourism Corridor that I mentioned in my presentation, and we do not want to change the character of the area. So that's hence the stipulations to prescribe native Arizona vegetation. And so that will resolve the water issue, I think, quite well. One issue that was not addressed maybe is the salvage of native plants that are on site. That could be added.
And the use of treated water, can that happen at some point? I mean, when you have a water treatment facility in place, I mean, you're treating water, so
yes.
So you'd have to put in purple lines or whatever we want to call them for irrigation.
I don't have jurisdiction over that to require it, but that could be another stipulation.
Okay. Mr. Billingsley.
Mr. Chairman, Brent Billingsley, Community Development Director. One of the things I would point to in terms of the stipulations we went over earlier is that one of the permits that's going to be required in the permitting processes that have to occur with ADEQ is not only the aquifer protection permit, but also the NIPDES or the AZIPDES permit with respect to discharge. So when it's kind of like Supervisor Miller brought up in the last item, this is a zoning decision today. So there's a lot of work that happens from the engineering standpoint and the permitting standpoint on water and wastewater. One of the things we did include as part of the stipulations was they can get an AZIPDES permit to discharge, but we would prefer that they get a recharge permit from the state so that the water can be recharged also as part of that process. Depending upon the design of the wastewater plant that is yet to be designed, because we're just at the zoning level, it will depend on how that's permitted in terms of the treatment level of that water. And if the treatment level of that water is treated to where it can be used, which is A+ effluent for irrigation, that's a decision that can be made by the developer at that time. But there's a lot of work that has to be done post-zoning to come to those decisions. Does that help?
I think so. Supervisor Miller.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Chairman, just real quick, a couple of things. I believe this is in the Phoenix AMA, or is it not in an AMA? I mean, it's right on the border. It's real close.
I believe it's in the Phoenix AMA, Supervisor.
So that falls under separate rules?
Yes, sir.
In a sense. And I heard a well. Do they own well, or do they have a will serve letter from like Arizona Water or somebody?
So thank you very much, Dennis Newcomb, Gamage, and Burnham. So we do have all of those documentation. So we have 2 wells that will be going on site. We also are being, as I'm told, grandfathered in under the AMA for this site as well. So we should be covered on that. We have the sufficient technical expertise on this case from engineers from top to bottom. This has not been something that was just done overnight.
Right. Okay. And I guess, and this is a question that we may all want to think about. How many notices were sent out? And I believe, if I know the area pretty well, it's only like probably state land was the only neighbor you have.
Chairman McCure, Supervisor Miller. So yes, neighborhood. I am a planner by trade. I take this process very seriously, and some levity. I apologize for that, but certainly what I would say to you today is that we have gone above and beyond. We posted 2 signs where only 1 was allowed. We only had to notice maybe 2 papers. We noticed 3. We put it in the Arizona Republic to make sure that I made that decision because I felt it was important to get the community outreach necessary. You're correct. There wasn't a tremendous amount of folks to get noticed. Arizona State Land was noticed. I talked to them. I will tell you that the posting of the signs brought in more calls than sending out notices in the newspaper. I received personally about a handful of calls from people that were driving by that actually said, when will this be completed? Frankly, I heard from one individual that read it in the paper. Yeah. So I think we did the yeoman's share beyond that. So I appreciate the comment. Sometimes you can't always get everybody, but we try.
Okay.
Thank
you. You answered my question. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other comments? I do have an issue with the 1,200-foot distance because that's happened in my district before where, you know, the properties are large. At 1,200 feet, it goes out to 2 or 3 people. Then I get like 300 people with pitchforks and torches come and say, hey, what's going on? So I think we should probably look at maybe expanding that range in our own world. But I have nothing else to say. Okay, yes, Mr. Coward. The public hearing is still open.
Dave Coward from Gold Canyon. And again, we're not against the project per se, but living in that area year-round, as I do, and some of you do, when I read the transcript of the P&Z meeting, it was mentioned over and over again, this is going to be a 12-month, they want people to be there 12 months a year. I'm wondering if they've really done the marketing research, because they're talking about putting in millions of dollars in this project. And what happens if 5 or 6 months of the year that's not used to its efficient level to generate the income to give them the return that they need? And it becomes unsustainable over time, and they abandon the project, 5, 6, 7 years down the line. And then we end up with a bunch of vacant pads, concrete pads out there in the middle of the desert, which used to be our Sonoran Desert. So I just want to bring that to the conversation. I hope they've done their research and they know, because like was mentioned, there's the AZ resort down the road, and it's vacant 5 months of the year. I mean, there's maybe 5 or 6 people who live there year round. So we just want to, being longtime residents here, we want the applicant to kind of know that we hope that you've done your research and you know what you're getting into. Okay.
Would the applicant care to respond to that?
And thank you again, Dennis Newcomb, Gamage, and Brennan. We certainly appreciate that, and we certainly appreciate the input and the concern, and we would not be here in this position if we did not have our research and done our due diligence on this project. There is an exorbitant amount of money, as you just heard, going to be necessary to make this happen, and there is no one that wants to see this succeed more than the applicant, who's been working on this for more than a year. We have our ducks in a line. We've done our market research. That, frankly, is why we've upped our casita count that we want to see on this property, because there is more of an interest, casitas, park models, if you will, to see those types of units, Airstreams, all the different types. And Country Thunder, I mean, you mentioned that this evening. They are a big premier user in the valley, in this area, and we see that as being another avenue of interest that we're probably going to see come to this location. We've done our research. The view fencing, just to bring up the native vegetation, the view fencing, that stipulation, was by our choice. We wanted to make sure that we could see the vistas, the desert, and incorporate as much of the desert as possible into this environment. Certainly, we recognize the value of the Arizona Sonoran Desert. We recognize the value of the water. We recognize the value of this property becoming a catalyst in a future development for this area, supporting Gold Canyon and supporting the Queen area as well. We believe this is the best project, and it will bring on additional development in the area. I want to thank you again. Appreciate the time. My brevity got longer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Public? All right, we'll close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion on, well, I guess we have to do them separately, on item 10.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 10 as presented, and it would be with one stipulation?
Yes.
With one stipulation.
This portion.
So I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And this was also for number 11, so I would ask for a motion on item 11.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve.
Chairman,
Ma'am.
before we take that motion, if we can just open and close the public hearing on item number 11.
I'm sorry, that's true, I didn't, okay. We will open the public hearing for item number 11. Are there any comments by the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and then I would ask for a motion on item 11.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve item number 11 with 14 stipulations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 12 is a public hearing and discussion, approval, disapproval on ordinance number 2022-PZ-037-21. An ordinance approving case PZ-037-21. And I have Mr. Evangelopoulos.
Hi again. Good afternoon. This time, my name is Evan Evangelopoulos, here with the Planning Department, Division, I should say, of Pinal County. This is another interesting case. It's on Thompson and Hunt. It's also a rezoning and a planned area development. And actually, it's not exactly on Thompson and Hunt. It's a little bit, actually, it is both on Thompson and Hunt and behind the Circle K at the corner. So it's an approval of rezoning from CB1 from local business to multiple residence zone to allow a multiple residence development of about 10 acres of land. And it's also an amendment to the Santan Heights Planned Area Development to modify the PAD zoning from CB1 PAD to MR PAD to allow for the multiple residence development proposed. As I mentioned, the subject site is located at on Thompson and Hunt, about 400 feet behind the intersection, but it does have an access on Hunt as well. Landowner is SEC Hunt Highway and Thompson, LLC, and applicant is Upwest Partners. This is what the development is proposing. 26 one-bedroom units, one-story, 16 two-story one-bedroom units, 13 one-story two-bedroom units, 38 two-story two-bedroom units, and 10 two-story three-bedroom units, for a total of 103 units. This is the approximate location within Pinal County. You can see in the general vicinity zoning map. This is the project. It does have a panhandle to Hunt. And currently it's several properties. It's community center in the Santan Valley Special Area Plan. And this is the proposed rezoning from CB1 to multiple residence. The site plan proposed for the project. There's an entry from Thompson, main entry, and also another one from Hunt. A close-up of the project. This is looking north to Circle K. Looking south. The four cardinal points can be a little bit confusing over there due to Hunt is on a diagonal.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
Supervisor.
It's back to that, go back.
Fishers?
No, well, the Fishers. No, go forward now. There. What's behind that wall? What's on the other side of that wall?
It's a new subdivision development.
It's another new
Yes.
subdivision.
Yes.
It is a subdivision.
That's a subdivision, a single family.
Is it started? Is it being built?
As far as I can see, I'm not familiar with the project, but it's being built, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So this is between single-family residences and
the commercial.
And the commercial.
That's
That's what I understood, yes.
Okay.
This is the Filibertos. This is the exit, the entry on the Hunt side. This is looking east or southeast. And looking east also, right behind the commercial development.
That would be your homes over there, Supervisor Miller, in the
Yeah,
background.
there you go. Okay. Figured that was over there.
Oh, yeah.
Looking west across Thompson Road here. So items for Board of Supervisors consideration. It's an approval request for approval of a rezoning and a PAD amendment. If the applications are approved, the subject property will be rezoned from CB1 PAD to MR PAD and allow the multiple residence development of 103 units. Today, 10 public comments have been received, and with 8 of them listing specific concerns. And I will mention the concerns were about traffic, about the nature of the development, and about infrastructure, and one on views. The property has legal access. These are the amended development standards for the proposed development. Pretty much they're all the same, except for the minimum distance between buildings is reduced to 8 feet. As a residential project, new residents will support existing and planned commercial development, and each new additional resident will create demand for additional local service detail. Also, the rezoning of the subject to residential uses will not affect the region's efforts to continue to attract new commercial development to the community. The applicant has submitted a market analysis study, which is very interesting, and presents these statements in there. So, approval, recommendation is approval with one stipulation, for the rezoning, and with 10 stipulations for the planned area development. One very interesting stipulation is number 3, because there's another development coming up, that the present-day trash enclosure location at the end of the road that separates this development from the commercial development to the north, as shown in the submitted site plan, shall be designed as a road stub to connect the proposed development to the east, which may or may not happen.
So, I'm sorry, so stipulation 3, so you're saying you're moving a trash collection site?
Well, stipulation number 3 stipulates that where the trash bin site is right now, that basically serves as a road stub for a potential connection to the development proposed.
So the road would go through the trash, so you just have to move it somewhere.
The trash will have to move, obviously, somewhere else, yes. It's not it's a trash bin, so it's on wheels, you'll have to move.
It's not enclosed? I mean, it's not.
Does it have like 3 walls around it? Or?
There's no 3 walls around it, as far as I know right now.
It's just sitting in the middle of the road.
No, it's not the middle of the road. It's a stub.
Well, okay.
Well, can you pull up a picture of
Yes.
where we're at there? I mean, I'm trying to visualize this thing.
There it is. Actually, there's an enclosure there.
There is an
There's an enclosure. I can zoom in.
Well, I was going to say.
Apologize, yes.
So it's,
Yeah.
There it is. There's an enclosure there.
so those will have to go
Yes.
because the road's going to. Can I ask another question?
Please, go ahead, Supervisor Miller.
So back to the conceptual layout that you
Sure.
had shown earlier. Can I see that again?
Yes.
That's from the parking lot side, coming down through the parking lot. You have to pass Filiberto's.
He's looking for the.
There, right there. Slow down, slow down. Okay.
Okay.
So, does this have, it appears it has 2 exit points.
That's correct.
It does. Okay. One on this Thompson Road, and then if you
On the back
go
side.
around on the backside, you can get to Hunt Highway. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that's what I saw. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Should I keep it there?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Any other questions on the layout?
No.
I think it's okay.
And the rest of the stipulations are about the traffic analysis, TIA, drainage report, street dedications, and the typical Pinal County engineer approval. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? All right, this has a public hearing part to it, so we will open the public hearing on 12. And I have Mr. Jeff Cost, I believe. Or not?
Did the applicant have a presentation?
Okay, I'm sorry. I forget about that. I'm sorry. Okay, applicant presentation. I digress, yes.
That's fine, Mr. Chair.
Hey, I'm just trying to get over the day. I mean,
I know. No problem. Your prerogative, of course. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, my name is Chris Webb with Rose Law Group. Here today to discuss the Thompson Reserve project. Appreciate the time. Just real quickly, and I know our morning has been long. We're into the afternoon, so I will try to be brief. Just to introduce some members of our team who are in the audience, Tyler Kent, who is the managing partner at OpWest Partners, the developer of this project. We also have Dave West with Terrascape, who's our engineer, and then John Hanna, who's our architect. So I think we have a team here that can answer any questions that you might have. Wanted to just express appreciation to Evan and the rest of the staff. Been great to work with through this project. We are grateful to be here today with their recommendation for approval, along with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval. Thompson Reserve, as you see on the screen here, this is a lifestyle community that is going to be developed. It will be a build-for-rent community of 1-story and 2-story single-unit and duplex homes. This is not an apartment complex. I want to make that clear. There was, as I spoke to some of our neighbors who contacted the county and contacted me, there was some confusion about that. So I want to make sure that that point is clear. This is an exciting project for this area. I think this is going to fill a need in the community, in the area, for some diversity in housing options, especially given what the housing market is doing right now and will likely continue to do in the future. So as you know, we are proposing a rezoning of this site from commercial to residential. Thompson Reserve, I believe, Mr. Chairman, as you noted, is situated between an existing commercial corner where you've got the Circle K and the Filibertos and a few other uses, Dairy Queen, I think. And then you have some existing and under construction single-family uses immediately to the south behind us. That subdivision is under construction. I did not see any houses going vertical yet, but that subdivision is under construction. So we're situated right between the two. And so I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of providing a transition. We will serve as a transition where we will go from commercial to multifamily residential to single-family residential, which is, in the planning world, kind of what you typically like to see. Wanted to just point out quickly that under the Santan Valley Special Area Plan, this property and the surrounding property is designated as community center. And so what we're proposing is consistent with the Santan Valley Special Area Plan. The community center designation is kind of intended to create this, kind of horizontal mixed use scenario where you've got commercial, multifamily, single family, and so Thompson Reserve will fulfill that vision of the Santan Valley Special Area Plan. So I want to talk a little bit about the viability of the site for commercial use, because we are proposing to change it from commercial to residential, and I know that can be a sensitive topic, one that deserves and warrants some scrutiny. So to talk about that a little bit, so this is an approximately 9-acre site, and it is buried back behind this existing commercial center. There are a variety of reasons that makes this very difficult to succeed under its existing commercial designation. So I want to touch on those few things quickly. As you may be aware, this site was zoned commercial about 20 years ago when the Santan Heights PAD was originally approved. A lot of things have changed in 20 years. The way that retail and commercial uses function, the way that we buy and sell goods has changed. So a lot has changed in the last 20 years. As I said, the site's poorly suited for commercial development. It has no highway frontage, so there really isn't good visibility at all with it buried back behind the existing commercial use. It's also kind of oddly shaped, as you can see. It's in between sizes as well for most commercial users. And then the other thing we've got, and you'll see on the site plan, is we have some off-site drainage that we have to route around this site, and so we end up with these drainage channels around the perimeter that make, the development of multiple driveways that a commercial center needs somewhat difficult. And so what we believe this project does is that it helps right-size commercial uses in the area at the appropriate locations. One of the things that we did very early on in the project at the county's request is that we hired Elliott D. Pollock and Company to perform a retail market analysis in this area. I know you're all familiar with Mr. Pollock and his work, and so we hired his firm to do a market analysis. And what they concluded is that for this market area, there is approximately 2.5 times the zone commercial land that it can actually support. And so the change in this particular piece, which they agreed was not well suited for commercial development for the reasons I've already discussed, that would really have no impact on the need and future need for commercial in the area. And we wanted to be very careful with this because we know this is an important topic. That study was completed. It was submitted to the county. It's been reviewed by staff, as Evan mentioned. And one of the other things that pointed out, too, and I just want to show this, is, within, a quarter mile approximately, there are actually, 3 much better suited commercial corners that are already zoned today. They total, they're situated with highway frontage at existing or future signalized intersections, and there's over 40 acres of commercial right there. Just to put that in perspective, 40 acres of commercial is, your typical power center. So think of, something off of the 202 and Power Road where you've got a Target or a Walmart and all the surrounding businesses. Those power centers are about 40 acres. So that's the amount of available zone commercial that is right here within a quarter mile of us today. So I think the research and the market study supports the change that we're asking for. The other thing I want to point out, too, because as I spoke with some of our neighbors, one of the big things that everybody has some concerns with in the area, just in general, is traffic. And so we obviously had a traffic study done as part of the county's requirements, and what that traffic study indicated is that in changing the use from commercial to residential, there will be somewhere between a 32 and 83% reduction in traffic. Now, the reason for the range is because you have to make some assumptions about if it did develop as commercial, what would those specific uses be, and depending on what they ended up being dictates that reduction. But at the end of the day, the traffic study confirmed that this change in land use will result in a reduction in traffic and daily trips here in this area. So here's a site plan. You saw this before. I want to just highlight a few things. So I talked about this as a lifestyle project. So OpWest Partners develops lifestyle projects. And what that means is, they're catering to certain buyers, and they want to provide a lifestyle for them. So this project will include a community pool, a fitness center, a dog park, all these resort-level amenities that you expect in a very high-quality project. We are providing over 23% open space. That's well in excess of what the county requires. And then we've got these landscape buffers around the perimeter of the property that you can see. And so we've done that both to accommodate drainage and to provide a physical landscape buffer between the adjacent uses. We've also got several pedestrian and vehicular connections to the adjacent commercial and residential uses so that our residents can walk and use these commercial uses here. There's multiple access points. We talked about this a little bit. Our primary access is here off of Thompson Road. We've actually worked with the county and with the developer here to align these two entrances. We also have another point of access here onto Hunt Highway. And so access is very easy. It's been well thought through. We have parking has been provided for. We meet all the county's parking requirements. So it's all there. High-quality architecture and design. Again, these will be for rent, single unit and duplex homes. This is not an apartment complex. I want to touch on this point really quickly because the notice issue has come up, I think, in the last couple of cases. So because we are part of the Santan Heights PAD, we sent notices to every single homeowner within the Santan Heights PAD, in addition to those within the typical 1,200-foot notification radius. So we actually mailed out over 4,300 notices, which is the biggest mailing my office has ever done. So there was no shortage of notification on this project. And we actually, if you count the number of responses, approximately 0.2% of those notified responded. And so generally, we feel like folks are pretty comfortable with our project. I did get a few calls and emails and spoke to some of those folks, and hopefully we're able to resolve their questions. So in conclusion, as I said, this is going to be a diverse housing project, for rent project. It satisfies a need, I think, that's in the community. It's going to create this kind of cool mixed use feel that the community center designation for the Santan Valley Area Plan wants to see. We are again pleased to have staff's recommendation for approval along with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I don't know if we've got members of the public who want to speak, but if I can also be helpful in answering any of their questions, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we've had presentations from the public and from the applicant, and now we would have a public hearing. Thank you very much. Okay. So I have one person wishing to speak, and that is Jeff Cost.
Good afternoon. Jeff Cost. I own about 20 acres on the southwest corner at this intersection. Also a representative of the owner for the pad, the parcel in between the existing Circle K and Dairy Queen, the shops building right there. And so just wanted to stand before you. Actually, I don't know if it's policy or not. We've been together so long. Do I need to invite everyone in the room to Thanksgiving? We seem like we know each other pretty well now. But I know we need to move along for sure. So I'm in support of the project. We are moving forward with applications for the southwest corner in regards to the commercial. We do feel that this is a great complementary use for what we're doing in regards to the commercial across the street. Wanted to commend the applicant. Staff with the county has been phenomenal. Lester, Evan, everybody's just really worked with us in regards to public safety, alignment. I mean, that kind of foresight is really refreshing. We're in our pre-app stages, right? And they're coordinating drives already. That's how good staff is and how good this applicant has been in working with us. I think, there was concerns. I was part of the planning commission meeting. There were concerns about traffic. I think going from commercial to residential kind of, I think, answers a lot of those concerns. The traffic's going to be a whole lot less. But again, we're grateful for the customer base that's going to frequent our soon-to-be-announced QSR that's going to go between Circle K and the multi-tenant building. And we have a lineup of other national users who want to be at that southwest corner, who are also very excited about this type of use. So we're using this in our marketing plan. Again, it's well received from our customer client base for development. So really just wanted to be quick, and I'm also here for any questions you may have of me in regards to this project.
Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Any others from the public that wish to comment? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing on item 12, and I would ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve item number 12 as presented with one stipulation.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 13, we've already heard a present.
Open and close the.
Yeah, I know. I'm going there. We've already had presentations, so as a public hearing, I would open the public hearing. And does anyone from the public wish to speak on 13? Seeing none, close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 13 as presented with the 10 stipulations.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right. Item 14, discussion of board members' requests for future agenda items. Anyone from the board care to put anything on a future agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you. At an upcoming work session, I'd like to discuss election machines security, so the public can be informed about, again, the machines we're using in the upcoming election, the security measures, and that would be from our new elections director, Mr. Frisk. And then a citizen brought to my attention at the start of this meeting an issue, and apparently he read in the paper, and a supervisor in that same article recommended that I cover the costs of an investigation. And so I would ask that the county attorney submit a bill to the county manager, and this board can entertain submitting a bill to me for cost of an investigation.
All right. Do you have that, Natasha? We're good. Any other? Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just thinking that we're about twice a year. Normally, we get a briefing from our insurance guy, Bill Hardy, comes down. I'm thinking we're getting close to another, another presentation, and if you can let me know when that is, or the clock in my head thinks it's coming along.
Mr. Keller.
Mr. Chairman, actually, Mr. Hardy did reach out to us to schedule that, and we believe it's going to be scheduled on the 23rd meeting. Mr. Hardy is still confirming that he has everything he needs, but he was looking at either that one or early in May.
Early May.
So,
I was thinking right. Okay.
Very good. Any other items that a member of the board wishes to bring? Hearing none, we will move along. Okay, so item 15, executive session. I'd ask for a motion to convene or to go into executive session.
Make a motion that we go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we are in executive session. Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
Thank you very much.
He said second.
Oh, I couldn't hear him. He's not talking. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nope. Great. We're out of here.